small thing gets under it. The sink is full, the floor won't clean. Even my name feels like a scream. I keep it in till it splits the room. I want out, but I stay here too. I hate everything, I hate everything. Don't ask me why, it's just the shape of me. I hate everything, I hate everything. Hold me still till I forget to breathe. The shirt on the chair that the dents in the wall. The phone in my hand, I hate it all. Your kind little texts, they burn like salt. I read them twice, then leave them unsent. Cold. I keep it in till it bites my tongue. I want peace, but I come undone. I hate everything, I hate everything. Don't ask me why, it's just the shape of me. I hate everything, I hate everything. Hold me still till I forget to breathe. Maybe it's grief wearing my face. Maybe I'm tired of saving space. If I go quiet, don't call it grace. I'm just not okay in this Don't ask me why, it's just the shape of me. I hate everything, I hate everything. Hold me still till I forget to breathe. I hate everything, I hate everything. Stay right here till the dark lets go of me. On the chair still drags your cologne. The phone face down like it's trying to leave me alone. With a hinge in my jaw, the bathroom bowl buzzes like a moth trapped in gauze. The sink holds a ring, the towel keeps its chill. Even my name comes back sharp, half spilled. I keep it locked up till it starts the room. I want out, but I don't know what moves. I miss you most, I miss you most. Don't ask me why, I always lose. I miss you most, I miss you most. Pull me close while I'm still thinking straight. The shirt on the chair still drags your cologne. The phone face down like it's trying to leave me alone. Your small kind texts still sit on my screen. I read them in the dark, then let them go green. I keep it locked up till it hits my tongue. I want peace, but I come undone. feet, watching the last few fade to black. Phone face down on the table, got a line about you on a crumpled receipt. I look up once, then look again, like the sky might answer me. Stars off, still you cut through the dark. Same old ceiling, same old crawl, but you're there when the room gets hard. Stars off, I can't help where I stare. If I miss my mark, you stay lit like you knew I'd meet you there. No lights, just breathe, count it slow. I keep reaching, hold that note up, hold that note up, hold that note up. I try again, let it burn again, say my name and send it into space. One more take, no echo, just the room in my shoes. I clear my throat, hear the kick drum like a pulse I can use. Hands on my knees, I reset, breathing through the nose. When the snare snaps back at me, I go where the bright stuff goes. I miss, I catch it, I miss, I catch it. Don't let it fall flat, don't let it fall flat. Say it clean, say it clean. Keep it up there, keep it up there. 30 takes and I'm still learning how to land where the chorus breaks. The red light keeps on staring while the ceiling slowly wakes. Engineer says don't chase it, so I stop forcing the line. Let the top note shake a little, let it flash and leave a trace this time. Throat dry, hands cold, still I lean into the mic. Same four walls, same old hallway, but the stars look different tonight. Stars on, stars off, still you cut through the dark. Same old ceiling, same old crawl, but you're there when the room gets hard. Stars on, stars off, I can't help where I stare. If I miss my mark, you stay lit like you knew I'd meet you there. I don't know what opens that door.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, man? How you doing? That's good. Well, hope you enjoyed here. I'm doing well also. And I appreciate the follow, bro. Much love. Welcome to the club.
Coffee tastes like a paper cup. I'm pacing the kitchen in sock feet, trying not to wake the neighbors up.
What's up, game boss? Good morning to probably jam a little longer and I'm gonna finish that. We're gonna finish that Spider-Man story that we was watching yesterday. A little more than halfway through it. Appreciate it. Might hit a level today too in woodcutting, so that'd be nice. Either tomorrow's stream or at the end of this stream, I'm gonna do some bossing instead of wood cutting. Change it up just a little bit.
Causing them for years. Everything I did was never for myself. I need help. I think
Yeah, you're talking to the guy that made the campaign. The mod. Appreciate it, Game Boss. Yeah, it's the mod of the channel. Hey Bob, Sam Techie. The one who responded to you. Yeah. He's the one doing the campaign for me. Yeah, it sure is.
Did it
Alright. We're gonna finish that Spider-Man comic we was watching yesterday. I'll still be here if anyone wants to chat. But it has like an hour or so left. We're about halfway through. I'm excited to finish it up.
From his wounds, and he turns to the only doctor that he knows, Curtis Connors. As Dr. Kurt Connors enters his lab from a night of not being able to sleep well, he sees Peter's shadow and he asks what he's doing here. Peter tells him that he once said he owes him, right? Well, he is a doctor and he just needs to borrow the doctor part. Curtis tells him that he's not that type of doctor and that he should really go to an actual hospital, but Peter tells him, sure, just let me go get my insurance and that's my other costume. But as he says that, he begins to cough. So Curtis starts stitching up Peter and he continues to cough. So Kurt says that he really needs to not be running around in the rain in his underwear. He doesn't look so good. Peter coughs, telling him, yeah, I don't look
What's up, Ella?
And Kurt says, well, yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was just going through some adult stuff. Peter jokes, telling him, at least you're not the lizard, right? But after seeing Kurt's scowl, he says it was a joke. Once Kurt is finished, he tells him
I'm doing well also, thanks for asking.
it's all right. You can get there much faster by weather.
Glad you're doing good.
Sweatshirt, telling him to at least take this. He then asks if there's anything that he can do to help with whatever is going on. Any miracle scientific breakthroughs on him? Peter looks back and smiles and says that he is the scientific miracle. But adios, muchachos! As Peter heads out, Kurt begins cleaning up the examination table, stating that he's just going to rip those stitches out again. And then he notices the blood on the table. Being a man of science, Kurt takes a sample of Peter's blood and he examines it. And he smiles. The next day at Kurt's lab, Kurt's assistant Ben Riley arrives in the lab to find Kurt sleeping in his desk. Seeing that Kurt had some experiments going on, Ben goes to look in the microscope and he sees Peter's sample. His eyes widen, stating, wow. And then Kurt jumps up shouting gibberish. Ben calms him down, telling him that he just fell asleep at his desk again. He really needs to stop doing that. And then Ben asks, what is on that slide that he was looking at? It's amazing. Kurt jumps up shouting, well, that was nothing, but it's just the beginning of something. But please, don't ask me about it. It's not ready to be shown. Meanwhile, back at the Parker home, Peter is staying home recovering from his recent wounds, and now he's got a cold. As he flips through the morning TV shows, he asks, is this really what people... Oh, Bikini Girl! And then he lays there, and the phone rings. Kurt asks if they can talk. It's really important.
Appreciate it. Much love right back.
And Kurt says that's fine, he can come there, but they really need to meet. It's really important. So Peter sighs, telling him, no, I'll just meet you. A short while later, over at the coffee shop, Peter tells Kurt that he's like 4 minutes away from a coma, so whatever it is, better be important. Kurt says that now he doesn't want him to be mad or anything, but the other night, there was some blood left. And Peter stares at him. What did you do? Kurt assures him he did nothing. All he did was look at it. And then Peter asks, oh God, am I gonna be okay then? Am I gonna die? And Kurt laughs, telling him, no, actually, what I saw was amazing. He holds out a notebook with a diagram of a normal person's DNA compared to Peter's, and he says that whatever made him become him is an amazing scientific find. That's why he wanted to ask him that with his permission, could he run some experiments on the sample? Kurt goes on saying that something happened on a genetic level, and it's possible to use that sample to help others. Things like gene therapy, stem cell research, cures to illnesses, fight diseases, and Peter adds, cancer. He then says that his father, before he died, was dedicated to finding a way to cure cancer. So maybe that could be inside of him. Kurt tells him that it's possible that it could be nothing, but he's not a stupid man. He knows something when he sees it. For a long time, he's been at the end of his rope. But there's hope. And that's why he's here, asking for permission and running the experiments. Peter thinks about it, and Kurt continues saying that they might find nothing. And maybe that's it. But it's almost like they have a responsibility to try. Hearing those words, Peter says, okay, you can run the experiments. 2 months later, Peter heads out to stop Punisher Frank Castle from killing a robber, and he ends up cutting himself in the process. Peter heads over to Kurt's lab to get patched up, and he says that he's looking real good today. Kurt laughs, telling him that they finally got their funding for the year, and things have been going well. Peter tells him that's awesome. So about what we talked about before, can I see it? Kurt tells him, yeah, but can we do it tomorrow? He's actually on his way to see his kid for dinner. Peter tells him, sure, it's fine. He goes on stating that, you know how science nerds get. They get into it, and they'll be there for an hour. Peter tells him, yeah, he's actually late himself, so he'll stop by again. As Peter leaves, Kurt heads into the next room and tells Ben that he's going to head out, and then he asks how everything's going. Ben says that everything's going smooth, though he thinks that it should be up to 86 degrees. He's a bit worried about the next incubation stage. Ben then gets up, telling him that he's gonna go out for a walk. He needs to get something to eat. And as the two leave, over in the incubation container, a red hand forms, and through the murky liquid, a figure begins to take shape. A little while later, Ben returns back to the lab to see that the test sample has disappeared. He looks around quickly and frantically, and he finds the cap to the container has been removed. He quickly calls up Kurt, asking if he's taken little Ben. And after being told no, he says that they may have been robbed, though he didn't tell anyone about it. Before the two can go on, there's a scream from the lobby, and Ben runs outside. Everyone gathers around looking at something, and then when it reaches them, he sees one of the security guards look as if his insides have been sucked out. Later that night, a couple begins to walk home after seeing a movie, and they notice something hiding in an alley as they're passing it. The man says that whatever it is, it looks hurt, and the woman asks if they should help. The red figure shuffles out, and then it holds out its hand, shooting a red tendril in the man's face. Suddenly, the man's body is forcibly pulled into the alleyway, and as the woman screams, she too is grabbed. She screams for someone to help, but the tendril pulls and drags her into the shadows, and then there's a loud chunk. A few seconds later, after absorbing the nutrients from the couple, the red figure stands up more like a human figure, and it screams. And then the red figure falls to its knees, looking at its hands. Suddenly, the vision of its hand starts to change into Peter's hands, and then memories begin to play. The memories of Peter and all.
Nah, this is a Spider-Man comic.
To mimic itself as Peter when he's in costume, webbing and swinging throughout the city. But there's one flash that stood out, and that was Peter's house. Over at Peter's house, Gwen returns after a day at the mall and realizes that she's forgotten her keys. She heads around the back.
I think that's Carnage.
She finds that it is also locked. And that's when she hears something behind her. She asks if it's Peter, but without answering, the red figure comes out of the bushes. Gwen says no while trying to back up, but the figure opens its mouth and it grabs a hold of her. Gwen struggles to get free, and then a tendril shoots into her mouth and begins to drain her. Just as Gwen's vision begins to fade, she sees the creature's face begin to form and take Peter's face. The tendril then pulls out of Gwen's stomach, and the figure vanishes, leaving Gwen's body in the grass. A short while later, Aunt May returns home from work and begins calling out, asking if anyone's there. With no answer, she figures that she'll just make some food for Peter and Gwen when they get home. And as she looks out at the window into the backyard, she sees Gwen's body. Over at the Daily Bugle, Peter finishes reading the article that Jonah posted that Spider-Man has actually done some good because he stopped the Punisher, and then the phone rings. Peter answers it and tells Aunt May hello, and she tells him what she found. Peter hangs up the phone and he rushes home to see the cops and the EMTs on the scene, and he starts to push his way through the crowd. As he gets to the backyard, he sees Gwen's body covered, and he overhears Aunt May talking to some of the police. As Jean arrives, she speaks with some of the other detectives and says that it's a shame. The same thing happened earlier today at the Empire State University lab. Once all of the police leave, Aunt May tries to get a hold of Gwen's mother, but she isn't having much luck. Mary Jane's mother offers to let Peter and Aunt May stay with the Watsons for the night, and Peter says that might actually be a good idea. Later, as he sits on a fold-out couch, Mary Jane comes down with a pillow asking if he knows who did this. Peter says that he's not sure. He's not even sure if this could be related to him being Spider-Man. Mary Jane leans back, telling him it's awful. She may be the last person to have talked to her. Earlier at the mall, they ran into each other, and they had a totally cool talk, like they were really becoming friends. Peter then asks her what's the point of all of this if he can't stop the people around him from getting hurt. As Peter begins to cry, Mary Jane hugs him until he falls asleep. However, a short while later, Peter sits back up, thinking about all of the possibilities of who could have done this. The detectives mentioned that it could have been a mutant. So was it Wolverine, Otto Octavius, Norman? And then he remembers something that Jean mentioned. The same thing happened at Empire State University. And then an image of Kurt Connors as the lizard crosses his mind. He gets up and he looks at the window towards his house, and he sees Kurt standing there. He grits his teeth and he heads outside, punching Kurt, calling him a monster. He jumps on top of him, hitting him, shouting, "What did you do? What did you do to my life?" And as the rage begins to take over, Peter picks Kurt up, and Kurt tries to explain that there was an accident at the lab. Peter sets him down, asking, "What accident?" And Kurt goes on, telling him that they inadvertently created a rejuvenating organism and it escaped. Peter shouts, asking him, "What did you do?" And Kurt explains that they were running tests and splicing the DNA with things, and none of it was working. So they dug through some of his father's old notes until they found something about cell reconstruction. Peter looks at Kurt, stating, "You spliced my altered DNA using my father's stolen work just to see what would happen?" Kurt remains silent, and Peter tells him, "That is the most disgusting thing I could have ever imagined." And then there's a rustle from the bushes. Peter's spider sense begins to go crazy, and then out of the bushes walks the red creature. As it walks forward, its face begins to change, and as its face starts to look like Peter's, it tries to talk. Peter stumbles back shouting, and the creature starts to change back and screams as it shoots a tendril forward. Peter narrowly dodges it, and then he jumps back trying to fight off the creature. He shouts for Kurt to get back to his lab and find a way to kill this thing. But once he's done, if he hasn't found a way to kill it, he's gonna lock the two of them into a room together. Peter grabs a hold of one of the tendrils and he pulls the creature up to a roof to get it away from the people while Kurt speeds off. As the two of them struggle, the fighting brings them into the city where they both crash into different buildings. Peter gets up looking down asking what has Spider-Man brought into this world? That thing has his face and it's killing people. He's failed at what he's supposed to be doing, and that's help people. As the creature gets up, it looks at Peter and it starts to escape. So he chases after it, and just as the creature lands on a police car, Peter follows shortly after slamming it back down. The creature throws Peter away, and the two officers that the car belonged to open fire. The bullets shoot through the creature, and then it throws two of its tendrils at the officers. Peter gets up and he watches the creature absorbing them, and then it changes again, this time into a much more fully formed body. Back over at the lab, Kurt rushes inside, and as the doors open, he sees Peter's shadow standing there. He asks what happened, and Peter stares at him, telling him it's done. The creature grew and formed, and we fought. The more that we fought, I started to see its face, and it was my face. It was my father's face. And then there was a moment of hesitation, but deep down I knew what I had to do. So I brought the fight to the smokestacks and threw the creature's body inside. After falling into the fire, the creature tried to pull itself out, but in the end it let go. As Peter finishes the story, Kurt says that he's sorry that he had to, and then Peter grabs him shouting, "Sorry?" He pulls his fist back shouting, "You murdered these people, you killed Gwen!" But before Peter can hit Kurt, he lets go and silently says, "You killed Gwen." A little while later, down at the police station, Kurt walks in and tells the detectives that his name is Kurt Connors, and he thinks he may have accidentally murdered people. Back over at Mary Jane's house, the alarm clock shows 7:42, and Mary Jane wakes up to see Peter just sitting there. She asks if he got any sleep, and then sees his face covered in dirt and scratches. She then asks if he caught the guy who did this, and he tells her yeah. She says that she could have gotten him his costume, and he tells her no more costume, he's done. She then says, done with what? And he says, with Spider-Man, no more. However, back at the lab, Ben arrives for work when he sees the officers going through Kurt's research, and he asks what's going on. The dean of the school says they're shutting down the lab. The experiments that Kurt was working on is what killed those people. She also regrets to inform him that as of now, he's currently out of a job, so go get his things. Ben heads over and begins to pack, and then he opens up a fridge of test tubes. He pulls one out, and it has a label, Parker sample number 2. He tucks it away in his coat, and he closes the container. As the sun rises over the Parker home, Peter can hear Aunt May shouting for him to get up or he's gonna be late. He finally comes downstairs and he looks around asking what the hell is going on, and May tells him that she knows that they're not moving yet, but getting a head start on packing is a bit more relaxing. As May goes on talking, Peter doesn't respond to her, and she tells him that someone's awfully grumpy. Peter heads downstairs and starts to look around, sniffing things. Before he can go anywhere though, Mary Jane flips on the light, stating that the whole point of having a boyfriend is to have someone to walk to school with. So hurry up and get ready. Peter looks around asking, school? And Mary Jane says that it's not her most ideal place for a date, but that's the best that they can do for the day. And she kisses Peter. As she hugs him, Peter just smiles awkwardly. Meanwhile, in a dirty motel room, Logan, the man known as Wolverine, begins to wake up asking, what the heck is that smell? Logan looks around at his arm asking, what is this? Why am I so hairy? He jumps out of bed, running to the bathroom, asking himself, what is going on? And then he looks at his arm as his claws pop out, stabbing through it. Back over at the Parker home, Mary Jane asks Peter, what does he mean by he's not going to school? Is something going on? Is that a Spider-Man thing? Peter asks, what? And then tells her, yeah. Go get the costume and leave it here. As Peter closes the door to the basement, Aunt May shouts to Peter that he needs to answer her when she calls for him. There's someone on the phone from the Daily Bugle. He grabs the phone and Logan shouts, what the heck did you do? What mutant freak thing did you do to put me in the hairy beast of a body? And why are you stinky like a dog? Now that we've figured it all out, Logan is in Peter's body and Peter's in Logan's body. Logan, in Peter's body, says, look kid, I really don't know what's going on either. And Peter, in Logan's body, says, whatever is happening, you need to go to school for me. Now to keep things less confusing at this point forward, we are going to be referring to Peter as Peter, and we'll be referring to Logan as Logan, but regardless of the body that they are in, that is how we're going to be referring to them. So when I say Logan, I mean Logan in Peter's body, so just so you know what's going on. Logan tells him no, and Peter shouts, I've already missed too many days, just go to school, I'll meet you there. As Peter yells, he mistakenly pops the claws out, cutting the payphone in half, as well as cutting off his own pinky. Peter shouts for someone to help him, and then he sees the pinky growing back, and he says, well, never mind, and he runs off. A little while later, Logan walks around looking at the cheerleaders, and Mary Jane tells him to wipe the drool off. Logan asks if they're really allowed to wear those sort of things, and Mary Jane shoves him in the back, asking, what the hell is your problem? She storms off. Logan takes a look at the costume and says, that isn't happening. As he wanders around the school, a security guard tries to stop him, asking why he's in class. Logan turns the corner, and the guard chases after him, and when he doesn't see Peter, because Logan is hanging off of the wall waiting. But not knowing how to control Peter's powers, they end up failing on him. He gets gets up after hitting the guard, and Peter runs in shouting, "Stop it! What are you gonna do, kill him?" As Peter stares at him, he says, "Oh God, you are in my body. What kind of mutant?" And Logan stops him, telling him, "How do I know it wasn't you that did this?" Peter points and shouts, and a claw pops out, hitting Logan, and Logan asks, "The hell is that buzzing?" Peter then explains that it's his spider sense, but look, we can figure this out. "Right now, we just need to go to class." And Logan tells him fine, and he heads in. As Peter waits for Logan to come back out, he sees a group of men driving by the school shooting at the police. Peter, still thinking that he's in his body, runs in to try and stop the men, but he ends up jumping and bouncing off of the thug's car and landing on the police car, which then causes it to plow into the thug's car. He looks up, seeing the thug's car flying towards him, and he says, "This is gonna hurt." And back inside of the class, all of the students watch the accident. Logan quietly says, "Idiot kid." As the cops surround Peter, they tell him to freeze, and he tries to tell them, "I'm totally cooperating and stuff." And another cop shouts for him to put his hands up, so Peter does, and he accidentally pops the claws out again. The cops tell him to put those away, and they retract, but then they pop out again. And Peter says, "Oh, nuts." He looks at the cops, "I'm really sorry, but I have to go." And he starts to run, and then the cops taser him. A short while later in the jail cell, the cops hand Peter the phone, telling him that he gets to make one call, but no sudden moves. Peter takes the phone, and he calls over to the only place that he knows that might be able to help, Charles Xavier's school. Kitty answers the phone, and Peter asks, "Who is this?" And Kitty says, "Who's this? Logan?" Peter says, "Look, I'm the guy you met before. It's me, Spider-Man." And Kitty says, "Right. Say hi to the Hulk for me." Peter shouts, "I'm serious. I'm stuck in the body of your teammate. I just woke up and suddenly I was like this. We switched bodies or something." Kitty listens and then bursts out laughing, handing the phone to Storm, stating that she just can't. As Storm answers, Peter gets frustrated and pops the claws, cutting the phone in half. He then looks up and sees the cops all pointing their tasers, and they shock him again. A little while later, Peter sits up in his cell, stating that, all things considered, it's nice here. And then the sounds of guns going off rings throughout the jail cell. Peter sees Logan fighting all of the cops, and as the gun goes off, Peter watches he gets caught in the crossfire, and it hits him in the head. Peter shouts, "What did you just do?" And Logan tells him, "Look, pop out a claw and jam it into the lock so that we can get out of here." Peter asks, "How? I can't even control these things." And Logan says, "Just think about it," and flick. Suddenly, a single claw pops out, and Logan says, "There, now punch the lock." Once the two of them get outside, Logan tells Peter to hang on a second, and he pulls the bullet out of Peter's skull. He goes on saying, "Look, bub, you're taking really bad care of my body." Peter ignores him, asking, "Where's the rest of my costume?" And Logan says, "I am not wearing your stupid costume. I'm done wearing this mask. It's smelly." "You want to talk about smelly? You need to do a full body shampoo and wash everywhere." As the two begin to argue again, an explosion goes off, and the sounds of people screaming can be heard. Peter says that they need to stop this, and Logan shouts, "No, we're in the middle of something here." Peter leaves up to the ledge of the building, telling him, "I'm sorry. Come with me or not, I gotta go." Down on the streets, the bank robber destroys a car, shouting that he'll do it again, but this time in their faces. So Peter jumps down, and the robber sees Logan, and he says, "Oh no, not again." As Peter tries to be nice to the guy, Logan tells him, "Hey, I got an image to keep over here." The two begin to bicker yet again, and Logan webs up the robber and then flings him towards them. Peter cracks the man in the face, and before they can get back to each other's throats, Peter and Logan see Jean and the rest of the X-Men appear. Jean walks over to Peter, saying that she told him to stop hitting on her. And Peter asks, "What?" Jean, realizing what's happened, turns back to Logan, shouting that she told him that the next time that she would do something mean with her incredibly powerful psychic powers. And Logan asks, "You did this? Well, put us back together." And Peter shouts, "You guys have totally ruined my life." Jean puts her hands on Peter and Logan's heads, and she puts the two of them back in their original bodies. Peter shouts, "God, you know why people hate you guys? It's not because you're mutants, it's because of..." Insert long string of censored insults. As Peter jumps away, Colossus asks, "Why did I get called that? I was just standing here." And a little while later, Peter heads back home to find Mary Jane waiting for him, and he tells her that he's sorry, kind of wasn't himself today. She hugs him, telling him it's okay, it's just the thing that he tried to do this morning. They should probably wait until they're a bit older to do that. Now, the only real significant thing that you need to know about over the last 4 volumes is the fact that Peter broke up with MJ. And as Peter struggles to breathe, having 3 metal rings constricting around him, he says that it's going to take a lot more than that to embarrass him in public. Actually, maybe not a lot more. Ringer shouts, "Did you really not think you were ready for me? Straight up, I'm from Waldorf, Maryland." He starts to throw more rings, and Peter dodges them, asking, "What does that even mean?" Says, "When did being from Maryland ever be cool?" Ringer then tells him, "That's right, chuckle it up, mutie. I'm gonna be walking out there with all of these diamonds." And Kitty Pryde then floats down behind Ringer, telling him, "You really need to knock it off with the whole racist thing." Ringer turns back, firing his rings at her, and as they phase through Kitty Pryde, because her power is the ability to phase through walls, solid objects, and just about anything else, she tells him that, as he can tell, his whole shtick won't really work for her. She grabs and starts phasing through Ringer, looking to short-circuit his suit, but Peter calls out, telling her that he's actually having a bit of a problem trying to breathe here. Kitty runs back over to Peter, telling him that this might feel a bit weird, so a few seconds later, she takes Peter by the shoulders and phases him through the rings, and Peter says, "Thanks, now I have no shirt." Kitty laughs, telling him that's a bonus for her then. And now their hula hoop guy is getting away, so he should probably web the crap out of him. Up ahead, Ringer starts running, but before getting away, a wall of web is sprayed all in front of him. Ringer turns back to attack, and Peter webs up his hands. But rather than stopping, Ringer continues to try and generate more rings. As he does, Kitty sees that she couldn't short him out because of the device on his back. However, as Ringer boosts his power, he ends up blowing up the pack as it's aimed towards Kitty. Peter shouts for her to get back, but after the explosion, Kitty says that he really needs to remember that her phasing power lets her not get hurt and stuff. Peter tells her, sorry, just knee-jerk reaction. He puts back on his shirt, and Kitty says that she notices something on Ringer's butt. She pulls out his wallet and asks what kind of a supervillain brings this to a robbery, and then she proceeds to flip through it. She starts to laugh when she says the guy's name is Anthony Davis. He's from Medina County, Iowa. The officers start to arrive on the scene, and Peter says that this is probably where they should, get the heck out of here. And a short while later, in Peter and Kitty's abandoned warehouse hideaway, Kitty asks Peter if something's wrong. It seems like he had a bit on his mind today. Peter tells her, yeah, it's his aunt. He really doesn't want to have to tell her that he's Spider-Man. It would really just be too much for her. Kitty tells him that 80% of the things that happen because he's Spider-Man. All she wants to do is be able to go to the movies and hold hands. She then says that he should start to think of it this way. If his aunt knew that he had a girlfriend, it would give him more excuses to not be home and off doing superhero stuff. Peter asks if they would hide that she's a mutant, and Kitty tells him no. She doesn't hide the fact that she's an X-Men. But before the two of them can go any further, the remote-controlled X-plane arrives to take Kitty back home. Peter says that he really needs to get a robot-controlled plane sometime. And as the two of them say their goodbyes, Kitty asks if he still likes her, to which Peter simply kisses her. But before that could go any further, Kitty phases through stating, didn't know how to break up the kiss, so hopefully that wasn't too freaky. A short while later, as Kitty arrives back at the X-Mansion, she notices that there's no one home. After setting down her bag in the kitchen, she sees Logan appear, and she happily says, "You came back!" Without saying a word, Logan pulls out a knife and he lunges at her. She quickly phases through, and then she runs into the next room where she's shot with a bolt of electricity. She then asks if that's Aurora, and Storm asks, "What's that? Is that even a word?" Whatever. And then she shoots another bolt of electricity. Kitty phases down to the lower levels and runs into the control room, accidentally shorting out the control panel. The doors to the room start to open, and that's when Kitty looks back to see the automated controls are still active, and she pushes a button. Back at the Parker household, Aunt May tells Peter that she's going out for a bit. So the group of friends from work, so Peter smiles, telling her, "Have a good time." And after she leaves, he notices the X-plane hovering over the warehouse. He suits up and makes his way over, and when he boards it, he finds no one there. But before he can get back out of it, though, the hatch door slams shut and the jet rockets off to the Westchester mansion. As the jet is landing, Peter walks up to the front door of the mansion, asking if anyone's there, specifically Kitty Pryde. Kitty opens the door, and Peter says that he's pretty sure the jet's broken. It dragged him all the way out here, but why is my spider sense going crazy? Is Logan here? Without saying anything, Kitty hits Peter with a stun gun. Once he hits the ground, he looks up to see Kitty's face start to change, and hers saying, "Far out! It's Spider-Man! There's something we didn't expect." Deadpool steps back to his group of cyborgs, stating, "Bonus!" A little while later, Peter begins to open up his eyes, and when he sees him and the other X-Men bound up and chained, he looks around asking, "Where am I?" And a voice shouts, "One of them is awake!" Deadpool says, "Man, you're such a tough cookie." And the cyborg asks, "Can I hit him again?" To which Deadpool says, "Hell yeah!" The cyborg shocks Peter, and his vision fades, and he hears another cyborg stating that they're reaching the drop point. He then asks, "Are you just gonna drop us?" And Deadpool says, "You've all got wacky mutant powers. You can handle it. Besides, you're all gonna be dead by nightfall anyway. That's the show. But if you want, wake them all up before you kick them off of the ship. Actually, it would be fun hearing them scream." The first cyborg says that he really wants to take the mask off of Spider-Man, but Deadpool stomps him, telling him, "Hey, show some respect to the mask. Masks mean something. Respect that." He then leans over to Peter, telling him, "Time to rise and shine." And Peter asks, "Who are you?" Deadpool then says not to push them out, and seconds later, Peter is thrown out of the helicopter. He falls from the sky, and he quickly positions himself to fire a web up to catch himself, which then throws him back into the air. Before crashing back into the ground, though, he sees the other X-Men pushing out, all wearing the same metal cuffs. And as he hits the ground, he asks, "Where the heck am I? Did I really just fall out of a plane? I did, didn't I? And now I've lost my boot." Even better, as he starts to pull the cuffs off of the front side, his spider sense begins to go crazy, so he quickly jumps over the flying cyborg body. The cyborg keeps jumping up, shouting shouting, and he fires at Peter, and Peter shouts, "I was trying to have an inner monologue here." Peter webs up the cyborg's face, and then he runs up, bashing him in the head. And then after that, he realizes that the guy's head is partially metal, so he should probably aim for the fleshy parts. After webbing up the rest of that cyborg, he shouts that he's already passed his curfew. Even though most superheroes would be embarrassed to run away, he shall do that now. He runs off, but after running through the bushes, he runs into another metal man. He shouts, "Why can't I just run through the jungle without one of you?" But as he goes on, Colossus grabs him, telling him, "Please don't say that." And Peter shouts, "Oh, you're the giant Russian metal man." He then starts shouting for Kitty, and Colossus tells him that he needs to calm down and not yell. And Peter tells him, "Of course I do. We have to fight Kitty. She attacked me." Colossus tells him, "No, she did not. And it wasn't Aurora who attacked me. What we are looking at are shapeshifters." Peter tells him, or maybe the women decided to take over. Colossus then says that they need to hurry and find the others, and as they head off, Scott's optic blast shoots through the forest. The two of them run over to find Scott being taken down by a group of cyborgs, and they quickly jump in to help him. After kicking one of the men away, Scott asks, "Where are we?" And Peter tells him that he's not sure. Maybe Six Flags Crazy Town. Also, you're welcome. As one of the last cyborgs are taken out, Colossus breaks the cuffs off of Scott, and Colossus begins to hear something. Peter tells him that it's either his gentle sobbing, or that's when a cyborg with the lower half of a snake slithers out shouting, "Am I on? Okay. Yo, mutants! My name is Bonebreaker, and I'm here to break your bones." Bonebreaker starts to fire into Colossus, and Peter grabs Scott to avoid the hit. As the blast lays into Colossus, Bonebreaker shouts that this is what he wants. He wants to kill them and have everyone see him do it. Scott starts firing back, and Peter asks, what does he mean by everyone? Bonebreaker shouts that they're ready for him. They sacrificed themselves for this. The mutants may have been born with powers, but they willingly gave up their bodies to allow them to hunt them. But before we can go any further, a bolt of lightning cracks down from the sky, shocking him. And Storm floats down asking, "Is everyone else really angry about this whole thing?" Peter quietly says, "Whoa." And Scott asks Storm if she knows where they are. She tells him yes, and creating a whirlwind to lift everyone up, she tells them all to look around. Scott says, "Krakoa! They brought us to Krakoa." And Peter then asks, "Where's that?" "Hopefully off the coast of Long Island, right?" Scott tells him no, it's off the coast of Genosha and the South Pacific. And before he could go on, Colossus shouts, "Over there!" The sounds of helicopters begin to get louder, and they begin to fire on the group. Storm releases the whirlwind, dropping everyone, and then the helicopter starts to fall from the sky. As it crashes, a figure starts to walk out of the fire, and Kitty asks if everyone's okay. She runs up to Peter, telling him, "Thank God you're okay." And Peter grabs her, telling her, "Wait, you could be a shapeshifter." She leans in, whispering something, and Peter says, yeah, that's really you, yeah." Nightcrawler bamfs in, holding a cyborg arm, telling them all that it's time for payback. He does believe that they are the stars of the show. Angel then flies down, holding Jean's body, saying that he found her hanging from a tree. He didn't know what to do. Scott grabs her, shouting for her to wake up, and after a few shakes, she shouts, "Everyone shout!" She then asks where they are, and Scott tells her Krakoa Island, and she shouts, "Are you kidding me?" Peter then says, "Hang on, what the heck is Krakoa Island?" And Kitty explains that it is an island prison for mutants. The nation of Genosha imprisons them and hunts them for sport, and then broadcasts it on TV. They were here last month, and they may have stuck their noses in when the professor told them not to. Peter then says that sounds rather inhumane, and a voice tells him, "That's one way of looking at it." Deadpool jumps out with his reavers, telling them that the other side of it is that you are sickening, unholy, genetic freaks who have no business being alive in the first place. Plus, you're international terrorists. By the way, my name is Deadpool, and I'm about to show you why. So smile, you're about to make television history. As the two teams begin to clash, Deadpool
Appreciate it, RuneScape.
the most mutant carcasses, gets a case of
Much love, right back.
Peter then yells, "I'm not a mutant!" Not that there's anything wrong with that, and Scott tells everyone that they need to hurry and find high ground. The X-Men turn and fight their way back, while Scott shouts that they can't take this fight head on. They're just simply outmanned and outgunned here. Nightcrawler teleports behind Deadpool swinging, and Deadpool spins back, grabbing him by the throat, telling him, "You must be the blue smelly one. You really should have listened to your captain and ran like hell." Peter swings in, kicking Deadpool off, and tells him, "Oops, I was running the wrong way." A short while up ahead, Peter and Kitty begin to look through the bushes, and Peter tells them that they need to call someone, maybe Nick Fury. Kitty tells him, "Remember, Nick Fury hates you, but for what it's worth, she's really sorry about getting you mixed up into all of this. Please don't break up with her." Peter tells her, "Well, duh." And Kitty asks if he's mad, and Peter shouts, "Of course I'm mad, but you didn't do this. Besides, I'm pretty sure that you'd be breaking up with me after I'm grounded for like 7 years because I didn't come home." And then Kitty thinks about it. What about Professor Xavier? What did they do with him? Before anyone else can ask that question, Spider-Man's spider sense goes off, and he webs away from an explosion, and Kitty tells him that he is so gonna break up with her. A little ways back, Scott tries to hold down the line, but Deadpool and the Reavers manage to knock off Scott's visor, knocking him to the ground. Up in the sky, Storm starts to take out the helicopters, giving the rest of them time to fight back. back. And as Peter punches Deadpool, he says, you know, if I was a lesser superhero, I would say something lame like, your show's been canceled. But that's totally not me. And Kitty tells him that the fact that he thought of it is a cause for concern. Peter grabs Deadpool and rips his mask off to reveal Xavier? And Xavier shouts to everyone, run! I beg you all to run! Everyone asks what is going on, and Peter shouts, wait a second, and he clocks Xavier. Kitty yells, what the heck are you doing? And Peter says, he's the dude with the thing! And Xavier shouts to hurry up and kill Spider-Man. He's one of them. And in the confusion, Deadpool posing as Xavier starts to fire into the crowd. As everyone tries to dodge, Peter says that he does have spider sense. They need to learn to trust the spider sense. The group begins to run up ahead, and when the coast is clear, Nightcrawler then asks where's Scott. Back on the battlefield, Deadpool's putting back on his mask, telling everyone that they need to hurry and pull the legs off of Spider-Man. This isn't going so smoothly because we didn't plan for him. Meanwhile, up ahead, Peter and the rest of them press on, and Storm spots the studio where they're broadcasting from. But before they can move, an electrical blast shoots Peter in the back. His body bounces across the ground, and Kitty turns back with a face full of rage. Deadpool says that it's time for them to wrap this all up. And Kitty charges through them, phasing in and out of all of the cyborgs. She tells them, a funny thing happens when you phase through machinery, seeing as you're all half machine. And Deadpool says, yeah, just do that thing and die. And then he hits her in the back with a stun gun. As he aims the gun at Kitty's head, he tells her, you have spunk. But before the trigger is pulled, Nightcrawler teleports in, grabbing the gun. All of the remaining cyborgs turn to fire, and Deadpool shouts, don't do it! But it's too late as everyone shoots, hitting Deadpool. Kitty and Nightcrawler begin taking out the rest of them, and Angel swoops down, grabbing Deadpool. And as they get high into the air, Angel releases him, letting him crash back into the ground. He starts to get back up, telling everyone, all right, no more fun! And Peter jumps in, punching him. He jumps on top of him, laying into him, and then he rips his mask off again, asking, what does it take for you to go night-night? Everyone stops fighting to look, and they see the Deadpool's face, as it is a skinless skull encased in plastic. And Deadpool shouts, God, I told you not to do that! And he kicks Peter off of him. He then opens fire, yelling, you don't have what it takes to win! They gave up everything to put you all down! Deadpool begins chasing down Peter specifically, and Kitty tells Colossus to throw her. Deadpool pins down Peter, asking if he understands, and Peter tells him, yeah, you smell like a KFC dumpster on a hot day. And as Deadpool pushes his gun into Peter's head, Kitty shoots through him, phasing through Deadpool's body. He falls back screaming and begins to explode. But before he can go off, Kitty grabs Peter, phasing the two of them away from the blast. The smoke starts to clear, and a group of cyborgs shout, let's get him for Wadey! But as the group steps forward, a giant optic blast shoots by them all, and Scott and Jean step out of the woods. As the two of them meet back up, Peter and the X-Men rip through the island until they finally make their way to the studio. Jean telepathically asks Xavier where is he, and in the room that he's being held in, Mojo tells the guards to just kill him. But when the guards don't move, he asks what's wrong, and then he turns back to see Xavier's collar has been released. Back in the main room, everyone begins to scream, and as they run, Xavier wheels himself out, saying that they really should just leave this horrid place. He holds his hand out, shaking Peter, telling him that he really came to their rescue. He fears what may have happened if he wasn't there. And he tells him that's great, so can he move in with them when his aunt kicks him out for being so late? A little while later, Peter and the X-Men take one of the planes to leave the island, but watching them is the smoldering body of Deadpool. Much later in the night, Peter and Kitty walk over to Peter's house, and Peter says that it's 4:30 in the morning and there's no way out of this. He has to tell Aunt May that he's Spider-Man. Kitty says that maybe they can get the professor or Jean to make her forget that he was missing in the first place. Peter tells her no, that would just be wrong. Peter and Kitty hold hands as Peter pushes the door open and finds an empty house. He checks Aunt May's room and sees that she isn't there, so Kitty phases back out, stating that the car isn't there either. She then looks at the phone to see that there's a message, and Peter hits play. Aunt May's voice says that she's sorry for not being home, but don't freak out. She isn't coming home tonight. The date's going well, and she's going to be staying out for the night. Kitty laughs, saying that it looks like her aunt got her groove on, and it looks like he really dodged a bullet. Class ends and the students head home. Mary Jane stops Peter, telling him that she knows that he's been through a lot lately and he's going to have to come with her and take a break. A short while later at the mall food court, Peter says that he appreciates her trying to be friends with him again, even though he's currently dating Kitty Pryde. Mary Jane says, speaking of, she hasn't noticed her sulking around the school in a while. Peter tells her that Kitty is kind of grounded because of who Krakoa is. But before the two of them can go further into that subject, there's a loud crash as one of the food stands is thrown across the food court. Everyone begins to run outside from the stand's path, and as everyone pushes their way through, someone in the crowd shoves a mother and their child. The child is flung from the mother's grasp, and just before the child can hit the ground, a web shoots out, grabbing him. Peter shouts, "Ta-da!" and the mother screams at Peter to get away from her baby. He sighs, telling her, yeah, should have seen that coming. Guess we will go see what's going on now. He leaps over to where the stand crashed, and he finds a man in a scorpion suit staring right back at him. The man in the suit shouts that he's not falling for any of his tricks. He's so much smarter than him that he's not even even funny. He's the Scorpion, and he's so much better than him. Peter tells him, well, if you are so much smarter, why don't you just lay down and take it while I beat the crap out of you, since you know what's gonna happen next. Scorpion shouts, I knew you were there. But before Peter can even ask what he's talking about, another voice calls out for them all to get on the ground. The two look back and see the police beginning to surround them.
Be right back in 1 minute. I need to let my dog out real fast. I'll put on some music. Alright, I'll be right back.
I still set to place down, out of habit, not hope, and stare at the extra fork like I'm learning the joke. Your hoodie on the chair hasn't moved in weeks. I pass it in the morning like it might start to speak. I say I'm good, like that makes it true. Everybody's got a group chat, mine just got used by you. I'm trying to act normal, but normal feels fake. I'm trying to act normal, with your name stuck in the tape. Say it once, say it straight. Help me hold my face. I'm trying to act normal, but I can't unlearn the space. So when you text, even when it's late, then I watch the little dots disappear into the gray. I laugh at the right places, not through every plan, but every room feels crowded when you're not in the band. I say I'm fine, with my jaw set tight. If I keep on moving fast enough, maybe I won't feel the slice. I'm trying to act normal, but normal feels fake. I'm trying to act normal, with your name stuck in the tape. Say it once, say it straight. Help me hold my face. I'm trying to act normal, but I can't unlearn the space.
Alright, I'm back.
And Scorpion spins back, spraying the officers with his acid. As Peter jumps in to stop him, Scorpion backhands Peter, launching him into another stand. Peter quickly gets back up and he webs Scorpion, and then he flings him into a pillar, and then he jumps on him, telling him, not so fast. I already get enough trouble from the cops. I don't need your help with that. The two start fighting back and forth, and Peter jumps on top, punching down onto Scorpion's head. But as the mask starts to break away, Peter stops when he sees Scorpion's face. And Scorpion's face is his face? And meanwhile, back at the Watson house, Mary Jane rushes home to tell her mother that no matter what she's hurt, she's fine. She's okay. Her mother hugs her, telling her that the city used to be so nice. But as Mary Jane heads back to her room, she smiles, thinking that maybe talking with Peter again was a good thing. So Mary Jane then lays down on her bed and begins to write in her journal, and as she does, a hand reaches out, grabbing and covering her mouth. A few moments later, Mary Jane's mother comes in, telling her that she got something in the mail, and then notices the window open. Mary Jane nowhere in sight. Later, over at the Baxter building, the Fantastic Four begin to go about their day when there's a sudden alarm blaring, shouting, "Security breach!" Sue and Reed look out the window to see Peter getting closer, and as Reed shouts for him not to get any closer to the building, flames shoot out, burning him. A little while later, Peter wakes up inside of the Baxter building, and Reed tells him that he cannot touch this building. They have the highest security known to man. Peter rubs his head, telling him, well, I didn't have my cell phone, so either way, I need your help. Like, really, really, really need your help. I need to know that I can trust you. I need to know who this Scorpion guy is. Reed says that they can run a blood test, and Peter says that they can do that and not tell anyone, right? Like, not tell Nick Fury? And Reed smiles, telling him, oh, that I can definitely do. Later in Reed's lab, he goes over the data that states that Scorpion is Peter Parker, but only a 94.2% match. Peter asks, what's the 94.2 about? Reed tells him it's odd, either it's a match or it's not, but yeah, this is Peter Parker, Caucasian, around 16 years old. Peter shouts, wait, pulling off his mask. I'm Peter Parker, and if I'm Peter Parker, then who's that in the tube? Over at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, Nick Fury sits at his desk as he receives a call from Reed Richards. Nick says that he has not changed his mind about the Skrull Initiative, and Reed says that he's not calling about that. He's calling to find out the government's take on human cloning. Nick says that, as they've seen on TV, it's off limits, too morally ambiguous. And Reed then asks, right, so there is no cloning, right? And Nick tells him nope, and I'm not doing it either if that's what you're asking. As the call ends, Peter tells Reed he's lying, and Reed tells him actually for once, Nick Fury isn't lying. The virtual sensors reading body temperature and pulse rate fluctuations didn't even budge, so he's actually telling the truth. Peter asks, who would do this? I'm kind of freaking out here right now. And Reed says that they need to run some more tests, but they will need a blood sample from the real Peter Parker. As Reed starts to draw blood, he asks Peter how he got his powers, and Peter says, well, he was bitten by a spider. Reed tells him that's cute, but really how? And Peter says again, I was bitten by a spider. It was a big spider. Later, Peter heads back home, and as he opens the door to his house, Aunt May runs out asking if Mary Jane's with him. Peter says no, what's going on? Aunt May shouts that Mary Jane is missing, and Peter quickly spins back around, stating that he's gonna go look for her. As it begins to get dark outside, Peter heads to the only place where he can think that Mary Jane could have gone, the abandoned warehouse. Peter climbs up the wall, stating, please, please, please be here. He hops inside of the window, asking if Mary Jane is there, and then a voice tells him, sorry, Tiger, this is going to be awkward. Peter looks back and sees a woman in a Spider-Man suit hanging from the wall. After a moment of silence, Peter asks, who are you, and where is Mary Jane? The woman says that she doesn't know. She doesn't get to be a part of that part of the story. Peter jumps over at the woman, who effortlessly dodges and jumps in, tossing Peter into a wooden post. The woman says, look, I'm not gonna fight you. That isn't going to happen. Plus, you're kind of off your game right now anyway. So for Mary Jane, I don't know. A pipe is thrown, and as the woman leans back to avoid the hit, she shouts, fine! And she shoots a web out of her fingertips. The webbing shoots over, throwing Peter back against a wall, causing it to fall on top of him. And the woman says that she shouldn't have come here. It's all her fault. As she turns to leave, she tells Peter that she'll get them back for him. She'll do it for all of them. A short while later, Peter wakes back up asking what happened, and he scrambles to get back to the warehouse rooftop. He calls out for Mary Jane, hoping to get some kind of a response, and then he looks at the old house and sees someone standing there. The girl walks into the house, and Peter chases after. Then he sees Gwen Stacy, who died when the Carnage symbiote was set free. She stands there in a hospital gown, looking at the empty house, and asks, when did you move? Elsewhere, though, Mary Jane wakes up in a giant tube, asking where is she? She begins to beat on the glass, asking if anyone's there, and then Peter's voice tells her to just calm down. Peter's shadow then says, it's going to be okay. I know how to protect you now. Mary Jane screams to let her out, and as she does, no one else inside of the old Oscorp facility can hear her. Peter goes on saying that this is where it all happened, remember? This is where Spider-Man was born. He realizes now that he broke up with her because he was so worried that something would happen to her. Then he thought about a wonderful idea. Why not make them equals? That way they could be peers and she could defend herself. He steps out from the shadows with half of his face melted away, telling her that he's going to make her just like him. Back in Peter's old house, the two sit down, and Gwen says that she remembers waking up in a hospital, but she doesn't remember where. Images start to flash in Gwen's head. Images of doctors dying and police shooting at her. She then stares at Peter and says that she doesn't remember. Peter tells her that she was dead, and now she can't remember how she got here, and Gwen stops him, asking, she was dead? She then looks back down, saying that she doesn't know how she was supposed to react to it. She grabs and hugs Peter, and then a light shines down on them, and Aunt May asks, what is? She sees Gwen, and then suddenly realizes that she's looking at Gwen, and she runs back home. Gwen says that she really was dead then, and Peter tells her, yeah, you were. Shortly after that, Peter and Gwen run after Aunt May as she tries to call the police, and Peter begs for her to put the phone down. After a brief moment of shock, Aunt May sits, and Peter tells her, look, there's no easy way to say this, but I need to tell you, I'm Spider-Man. I always have been, and Gwen was killed, or so we thought, by a monster who was looking for me. Aunt May takes a moment to process this, and then she folds her arms, telling Peter to prove it. Prove that he's Spider-Man. Peter jumps to the ceiling, telling her, see? Aunt May tells him to stop. She then says, so everything with Norman, all of that trouble, and Harry, and now this? Even though I saw Gwen's dead body with my own eyes? Peter tells her that he doesn't know how, but clearly there's a scientific explanation. He just doesn't know what it is. Aunt May tells him to stop. She understands. Now, just get out. Take whatever that is and get out. Peter tries to tell her to wait, but Aunt May shouts that he is not her son. She gave up her adult life for him, and all he has done is lie to her. Take those ghosts and get out of the house. A voice from down below then asks Aunt May, when did she get so feisty? Everyone turns back to see Richard Parker, and he says that she should take it easy on him. He was only a kid trying to make the most out of an impossible situation. Aunt May scoffs, stating, wonderful timing. Now you can take your son and get out. Peter asks, is that really you? Dad, are you alive? And then he looks at Aunt May, and she still doesn't respond. Meanwhile, over at the Baxter building, Nick Fury looks at Scorpion and asks, so this is Peter Parker. Reed tells him no. After some tests, his best guess is that someone cloned him and then tampered with the cloning in an attempt to enhance him. And then asks if someone was doing super soldier experiments with cloning. Nick doesn't say anything. Then he radios back to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters to get the Spider Slayers ready. He's going to need the full battalion and a cleaning crew. Things are about to be messy. messy. Back at Peter's house, his father hugs him, and Aunt May shouts that she's glad that they're back together, but now they can all get out. She's had enough of the Parker drama for the rest of her life. Peter shouts, wait, she knew that his dad was alive and she didn't tell him? Aunt May snaps back that he's Spider-Man and didn't tell her. She was just trying to protect him from all of this exact thing. And without paying much attention to Peter and Aunt May, Richard turns to Gwen and asks how she's feeling. She must be hungry. As Richard opens the fridge, Aunt May asks what is he doing. She wants them all to leave. Richard pulls out a pizza and says, look, cold pizza is perfect for this kind of a thing. Back at the Oscorp facility, Mary Jane sits in her tube, now strapped to a chair, and Peter tells her that this place used to be state-of-the-art. But don't worry, soon she's going to be just like him. She'll be able to protect herself. As Peter starts setting up the machine, he's suddenly kicked in the face, and then a six-armed Spider-Man tells Peter to get away from her. Back over at Peter's house, his father explains the events of what happened the day of the plane crash that supposedly took his life. Just before boarding the plane, he had second thoughts on further work on the suit, since the company that they were working for wanted to weaponize it. His mother, Mary, decided that it would be their best chance to finally get back out of the financial slump that they were in, but ultimately, he refused to go along with it. Peter listens and then asks, what about Gwen? Why is Gwen alive? Why are you here? And Richard says, yes, you really were a smart boy. Back at Oscorp, the six-armed Spider-Man fights the cloned Peter back, stating that he knew that he would try something like this. He's not going to let him touch Mary Jane. He then kicks the clone back, telling him that this isn't why they were created. The cloned Peter grabs a steel beam and throws it, shouting, shut up! And then he tackles the six-armed Spider-Man to the ground. He starts to beat on him, punching him over and over, and after the six-armed Spider-Man stops moving, the cloned Peter Parker looks back at Mary Jane, stating, it's okay, sweetie. It's all gonna be okay now. Meanwhile, over at Peter's house, his father continues his story, stating that he's not going to like this part, but metaphorically, he was dead, or at least in every legal sense. It was then that a man named Henry Gierich from the CIA found him. Henry knew that he was supposed to be dead, but he had a unique offer for him to allow him to continue his work. Henry said that there was a man by the name of Nick Fury who had weaseled his way through the world government ladder and was now working on a super soldier serum. He wanted to make a team of super soldiers like Captain America in order to police the world, and frankly, the CIA didn't trust him. A little while later, Henry brought in footage of the Venom suit when it broke loose, and in that video, his father saw his son, Peter. Henry told him that Peter had become Spider-Man and Nick Fury had already gotten to him. It was one day when May was leaving work that he approached her, but she refused to let him anywhere near Peter. But also, Henry wouldn't let him talk to his son, regardless of his fear of what was going on with Nick Fury, because he was scared that it would compromise the whole operation. Peter stands up from his table shouting that none of this explains why Gwen is still here. His father goes on stating that he was never supposed to know that she existed. All of the advancement in stem cell research combined with Connor's advanced, but before we can go any further, a light shines in the house and a voice calls out that they are surrounded. Outside, Nick Fury shouts over a microphone that there are several dozen robots, and he says that they are here to take them all into custody. As they can see, he's not screwing around. Gwen looks outside and says that they're going to take them away, and then her body begins to twist. Suddenly her gown is torn off, and standing before them is the red creature that Peter once fought before. Gwen screams, no! And she jumps out the window, but before Peter can chase after her, he sees Aunt May grabbing her chest. Peter asks what's wrong, and she struggles to tell him that it's her heart. But while all of this is happening, back at the Oscorp facility, Mary Jane slowly opens her eyes, and Peter tells her congratulations. This is the all-new her. Outside of Peter's house, Gwen Stacy, now looking like the Carnage monster, jumps straight into a group of robots and rips through, tearing everything apart. Nick shouts for them to fire, and the robots begin to shoot beams, hitting the house. And inside, Peter grabs Aunt May, and Richard Parker, Peter Parker's father, who joined us, if you really don't know what's going on, you really should check out the last episode, tells his son that he will take care of Aunt May. Peter needs to get out there and stop whatever is going on. Peter hesitates for a moment, and then Richard tells him, you need to listen to your father. Peter turns, jumping out of the house, vaulting off of the robot, shouting for Nick Fury. Peter makes his way over to him, grabs his gun, telling him that he needs to stop. His aunt is in the house, and Nick shouts for him to get off! You're under arrest! But before anything else can happen, Peter is hit by one of the robot's beams, and then Nick points his gun at Peter, telling him, I understand, but you need to stay down. Peter lunges back up, grabbing at Nick's throat, but then another robot fires, hitting him. And Nick tells him, I'm really sorry, but you need to stay down. The next hit will paralyze you for good. He holds up his gun and then is blasted with fire, and a voice tells him, dude, leave that guy alone. Everyone looks up to see the Fantastic Four in Reed Richards, asking what exactly is going on here. Nick tells Reed to take his team and go home, and Reed stomps him, asking, why are you doing this? Peter's done nothing wrong. Nick shouts that this is a military operation and he's giving them a direct order to go home. Ben Grimm looks at Gwen and he says, "No offense, but she is one ugly." But before Ben can finish his sentence, Gwen grabs him and flings him across the street into a building. Reed shouts to Nick that they just can't take over a neighborhood because they found a clone. And Peter interrupts them, screaming that his aunt is still inside. She had a stroke or something, and my dad is in there too. Sue Storm pushes through the group, telling Nick that there's an older woman inside that needs their help. What is the matter with him? And while Sue creates a force field and goes inside of the house, Reed stretches around, slowly pulling Gwen down, stating, "This is just fascinating." Inside, Sue checks on Aunt May, and she asks Richard what he has done to help. Richard stumbles over his words, telling her, nothing. So Sue says, "You're a doctor, but either way, we're gonna need to get her out of here." Once Sue brings May outside, she tells Peter that she's going to take her to the hospital along with his dad. Peter tells her thanks as Sue flies away. Johnny then asks if he would like him to take him as well. Peter turns back, telling him no, and then he charges through the robots, calling out to Nick Fury. Nick tells his men to do it, full power. And suddenly there's a bright blue light that blasts through, covering the entire area. And then in a flash, it's over. Everyone stares at Gwen, now back in her human form, and she collapses. Peter falls to his knees, and Nick walks over to him, pointing his gun, telling him, "I wasn't lying before. You don't get to be Spider-Man anymore." And Peter looks at him, "Tell me what you did." And Nick sighs, telling him that he didn't do anything. It was his clones, and he's truly sorry about this. Back at the Oscorp facility, Mary Jane asks, "What did you do?" The cloned Peter says that she knows what Oz was, right? He injected her with it. The stuff that made Otto Octavius into Dr. Octopus, Norman Osborn into Green Goblin, and with it, he recreated her. Mary Jane shouts that he put something inside of her, and as she steps forward, she falls over in pain. Cloned Peter asks if she's okay, and then a giant red arm shoots up, and a hulking red beast stands up and screams! Back at the house, Nick Fury puts cuffs on Peter Parker, and Reed Richards says that he can't do this. Peter just looks at him and tells him to just let it go. It's all over now. Suddenly, the Spider-Woman from before jumps in, kicking Nick Fury away, and she grabs Peter Parker and leaves off. Johnny Storm tries to follow, but as they get into the city, he loses sight of them. Down on the alleyway, the woman puts her fingers to her lips until Johnny flies off. Once the coast is clear, she breaks the cuffs holding Peter back, tells Peter to follow her. The two jump onto the Jersey Turnpike, and when they land onto a passing truck, Peter asks, "Who are you?" The woman looks at him, stating, "Spider-Woman?" And Peter asks again. So the woman pulls her mask down to show that she looks like him. Peter asks if she's him, and the woman tells him, "Kinda, sort of, I'm a clone of you. Right now we're heading over to find the other clones, and I'll tell you everything that I know. It all started about a month ago when I was born. There was a man named Ben Riley. He was saying how there had been so many other clones, except in her case they decided they wanted to try making a female. They said that she would be working as a special agent for the CIA, and that her name was going to be Jessica Drew. Ben kept going on about how the CIA and FBI made a deal and allowed him to keep working on his work with the Parker sample that he took when things went wrong. But just before she passed back out, she remembers hearing Ben say something about making her like the next Captain America, except that there would be an army of 200 Spider-Men. As Jessica sits back, she asks Peter if he's okay. Peter calmly tells her no. In fact, he should be like in a coma. Jessica goes on to explain that one day during testing, one of the other clones broke out of their cell and began to tear the place down. It was after it escaped that all of the doors to the other cells opened and everyone broke free. Peter asks if one of those clones took Mary Jane, and Jessica says that she thinks so, but she's hoping that she's wrong. But right now, this is their stop, and they jump off of the truck. Peter follows behind, and then he sees that they're now at the old Oscorp facility. They see what Mary Jane has now become, and she's fighting the Peter clone. Jessica webs up the six-armed Spider-Man, pulling him to safety, and then she takes off his mask, telling him to arise and shine. And as the six-armed Spider-Man looks at the real Peter, Peter tells him, "We're gonna do our oh my gods later." The six-armed Peter then looks back at Mary Jane and says, "That idiot did it. He injected her with Oz." Mary Jane continues to thrash about, and just before slamming a piece of metal onto the clone Peter Parker, Peter runs up, telling Mary Jane to stop. This is the real him. She screams as she starts to revert, and the cloned evil Peter says, "Look, she can protect herself now." Peter punches the clone, shouting that there's no Oz here. "This place was empty, so where did you get it from?" And the voice says, "From our father." Peter looks back and he sees Otto Octavius walking in, along with Nick and Reed. Over at the hospital, Sue and Richard follow the doctors as they rush Aunt May to the ER, and as she's taken away, Richard asks if she's going to be okay. Sue notices that it's a bit strange that Richard, being a doctor, doesn't know what the outcome would be, and she says that she would like to take Richard's blood to check on a few things. Back at the Oscorp facility, Peter stares at Otto Octavius, thinking that he's going to kill him. He can do this, he can kill him, and he won't go to jail, he's a kid. But as Peter tries to step forward, Jessica holds him back. Otto tells Peter that it's good to see him again. The clones are right there, so if you'd be so kind as to wrap them all up for me. Reed looks at the clones and says that he made 3 clones, and one of those was a female? With one of the clones, they denied a clone its Y chromosome in phase 2. As you can see, she was a success. Jessica looks at Otto asking if he was the one who created her, and he smiles. Yes, it was me. She grits her teeth, telling him that she's going to kill him. But before she can move, Nick pulls out his gun, telling her, don't. There's been enough of that tonight. Johnny lands by Peter asking what the heck is going on. And Peter picks up Mary Jane, shouting that they need to help her. She's been infected with Oz. Johnny shouts that they can fix that, right? And Nick tells him no. He needs the Fantastic Four to pack up and leave. As Johnny and Nick argue, Peter Parker pushes them aside, stating, please help Mary Jane. Ben takes her and Reed says that he can do everything that he can. And the clone Peter shouts, no, she's okay. I fixed her. The clone Peter then jumps up and the soldiers open fire on him. Jessica begins to punch the soldiers and Nick fires his gun, shouting that he's had enough of this. Otto Octavius tells Nick that he appreciates the good work here, but this is currently their problem, so they'll be taking their subjects back now. Nick says that he ain't taking crap. There's a lot that he's going to be answering for, and above all of that, he's under arrest for this little house of horrors that he created. Peter pushes through asking, how did you do it? How are you not dead or in jail? And Otto laughs, stating that he made a deal with the federal government to help design a super soldier. It would seem that there are many people in the United States government that truly hate Nick Fury, and they didn't want him to be the only person with what they would call a Captain America button. So now, thanks to the good people over at the FBI, he can continue his work as Dr. Octavius before everything went wrong. Otto then goes on stating that I have your blood sample from your friend Kurt Connor's assistant, which allowed me to continue my work, and Jessica there is proof that it's working. He then leans into Peter and he tells him, it just so happens that my work completely perverts and destroys every single part of you and your life. Every single part. But before leaving, Otto mentions that as for his father, well, your father really did die in that plane crash. Peter tries to hold himself back and he tells Nick Fury that he will make him a deal. Tell his guys to give him 10 minutes and he will surrender and they'll all win. Otto laughs, stating that that's cute, but Nick isn't the one in charge here. We're gonna round up the Parkers and take them all back, and then we can use whatever force is needed. I can make more. Nick pauses for a moment and then he tells his team, you heard the man, set up a perimeter around the building and everyone move out. Otto asks, what are you doing? And Nick tells him, he's right, I'm not in charge here. So, go on, be in charge. As Nick shuts the door to leave, the 6-armed Spider-Man pushes everyone aside and jumps on Otto, stating, hi, Daddy! As he slams Otto down, the real Peter jumps in and just as quickly is knocked away. The metal in the room begins to twist, and Otto shouts that he tried so hard to keep this part of his life secret. And that's when the metal pipe shoots through the air, impaling the 6-armed Spider-Man, and Otto continues stating that it was the arms that made me. It was metal, and I can control metal. Outside, Nick Fury pulls out his gun, shouting for everyone to halt, and Henry walks up stating, that's nice. I'm with the FBI, so no offense to you, but you should just stand down. Henry then asks, where's Otto? And Nick asks, who? The guy with the bowl cut in the show that should be in jail at this very moment? Henry shouts for him to stop that, and Nick goes on stating that he wouldn't have made a deal with Otto to make super soldier clone experiments behind his back. And now it blew up in your face, and you're going to get fired, aren't you? Back inside, Otto creates more mechanical arms out of the scrap metal, shouting that he will not mess around with them. Jessica needs to surrender or I will kill her and clone another. Peter jumps at Otto and Otto knocks him away, asking, who's next? One of the arms shoots back, hitting Jessica, and as she picks herself back up, she tries webbing up Otto Octavius. As the webbing hits the arms, Otto laughs, and then he launches one, slamming Jessica into the computers. Otto then turns back to Peter, shouting, you need to embrace your defeat! But this time, as the arm is thrown, Peter punches through it, shattering it. Otto then asks, what? No witty comment? That's how I know you're scared. Jessica shouts, no, that's not it. It's just how we know when he's being serious. And she swings in, kicking Otto to the ground. As Otto Octavius gets back up, all of the metal on the ground begins to swirl around, sucking everything up, and Otto shouts, why is it that you always have to involve yourself in my life's work? Just die already! As the metal flies around, Peter and Jessica jump along the arms, and together they punch Otto Octavius right in the head. The metal in the room starts to fall, and Peter huffs, stating, that felt good. And Jessica says, yeah, but it's kind of lame that it took both of us to do it. Jessica checks on the other 2 clones and says that they're both dead. Peter says that this is all so weird. They need to go. She jumps up, stating that he can't be serious and surrender. Peter tells her that he has to. If he runs, they're going to chase him, and right now, Mary Jane and Aunt May's health is more important. Jessica leaps away, telling him that she isn't going to stick around here and argue with herself. Outside, Nick and Henry continue to bicker as Peter shuffles out, holding Otto's body. Nick asks, where's the girl? Peter says that she, left? There are 2 more more clones inside though, both dead, and Henry says that that's good. Peter looks at Henry and shouts, "Good? Tell me, because I would really like to know if there's any part of you that understands how insanely evil you really are." Henry turns back to Peter, and before he can yell, Johnny flies down telling Peter that he has to come with him. He grabs a hold of Peter's arms and he flies him over to the Baxter building, and inside of the lab, Dr. Franklin Storm looks over Mary Jane, and Reed tells Peter that they isolated the Oz compound, but Mary Jane begins to toss and yell and turn, and then her eyes open as she sees Peter. She jumps out of bed running at him and asks, "You're the real one, right?" Mary Jane then looks around and sees Johnny and asks, "What's going on?" Peter says that it's a long story. Otto cloned him and Gwen Stacy, and all of the clones escaped. Aunt May had a heart attack, and one of the clones kidnapped her. Mary Jane thinks about it and shouts, "Oh my god, a clone?" But Johnny whispers to her that this is where she hugs him. She latches onto Peter, and Peter says that he's sorry, and she says that it wasn't his fault, right? So why apologize? Peter then says that he loves her, she was right and he was wrong. He almost lost. Peter looks at everyone asking if she's going to be okay, and Reed says yes, they managed to remove the Oz formula, but they would still very much like to watch over Mary Jane for a little bit. And be it as it may take some time, but they can cure him as well. Wouldn't have to be Spider-Man anymore if he didn't want to. Now to catch you up on what we've skipped over, Peter Parker is back with Mary Jane, and Kitty Pryde was kicked out of the X-Men and now goes to the school that Peter Parker and Mary Jane are at. Nick Fury is also gone, and Carol Danvers is now the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. Also, Harry became a goblin himself. Now aboard the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, acting director Carol Danvers walks down to a cell asking, what exactly does he want? And the soldier with her tells her that he wants to talk to Nick Fury. Carol says that Nick isn't here. Can't one of them just put on an eye patch or something and pretend that they are Nick? And the soldier tells her that he's pretty sure that they'll see through that, and Carol says, fine, open it up. Inside the holding cell, Norman Osborn asks, who are you? And Carol says that she is Captain Carol Danvers. What can she do for him? Norman tells her that he wants to talk to Nick Fury. And Carol says that he's not here. She is. So what does he want? Norman pauses for a moment, and then he says, I'm ready to make my deal. Fury offered me a deal with some privileges in return for my scientific cooperation. Carol asks exactly what are these privileges that you speak of, and Norman says, I want to see my son. I'm willing to play ball and make a deal, so... Carol tells him, yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one. Norman scoffs, telling her, just get me Fury. And Carol tells him that you may have missed the part of the conversation where I said that he wasn't here. And Norman shouts, I'm ready to make my deal. This is a complete waste of time just sitting here. And Carol tells him, well, you should have thought of that before you turned yourself into a goblin and started killing people. As Carol turns to leave, Norman shouts at her again. And Carol looks at him and taunts him, saying, woo, and slams the door shut. Back in the control room, she begins to go over the current captured villains, each one checked off, except for Harry Osborn. A S.H.I.E.L.D. agent says that they keep him elsewhere, and she sits back stating that all of this is insane. They're keeping all of these maniacs in their basement. It's like they're sitting on a nuclear bomb. One of the operators then says that they have a problem. Osborn's cell went dark. She asks, like what? Someone turned off the lights dark? And the operator says no, like all monitor feeds, his vitals, everything. And she says that maybe it's just a... But before she can even finish her sentence, an explosion goes off in the basement. Moments before the explosion, Norman was sitting in his cell brooding, thinking about how the only difference between him and Nick Fury is that he knows that he's a monster and Nick doesn't. It's fine though, they can take away his money, throw him in jail, drug him, whatever. They can do whatever they want because he wants them to know that everything they have done to him isn't enough to keep him caged. And now, it's his turn to destroy him. As Norman sits, his body begins to smoke, and soon it catches fire. The fire spreads, and then there's an explosion going off, blowing a massive hole into the side of the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. Norman steps out of his destroyed cell, and the blast caused most of the other cells to open and free the criminals, including Gwen Stacy's clone. As Norman gets ready to leave, he hears Otto Octavius telling him, you're looking rather well. Otto takes one of his metal arms, slamming it into Norman, telling him, just so you know, I'm the one who gave you up to the feds. I sold you out the first chance that I got. I even gave them the formula, and they still couldn't figure it out. Norman reaches up, crushing one of the metal arms, and Otto asks, why is that? What was it that they created? With only thinking to himself that Otto is in his way, Norman throws a fireball and jumps at him. Otto then asks, why are you still attacking? Can't you take a moment to marvel at all of what has happened? As Otto knocks Norman back, he tells him, never mind, you can't just keep being you. However, as Otto goes back to taunting Norman, he's suddenly electrocuted and falls to the ground. Electro asks Norman if he can hear him. Also, you're welcome for the save. However, I'm auditioning for some work. I'm gonna need something that pays while I'm on the outside. Norman tells him to find him in a few days. There will be some work. Electro rockets off into the sky, telling him, awesome, I'll see you then. Also, that time that we almost took over the White House, good times. As Norman leaps out of the SHIELD headquarters, attack helicopters move in to try and take him down, and they manage to shoot Norman back into the water. The pilots report that they have confirmed hits, but once the helicopters get overhead, Norman jumps back out of the water, throwing more fireballs at them. The SHIELDs take most of the blast, but Norman jumps over to a helicopter, ripping out one of the men. Then after taking over the controls, he crashes the helicopter into another and rips through the last of them. As he lands, he says that he's going to crucify Fury. I'm gonna crucify him on national television for this. A little while later, at Norman's lawyer Joseph's apartment, he gets ready to go out and he sees Norman standing in the mirror fixing his tie. Joseph asks what is he going on about, and Norman tells him that he needs money so that he can put it away for a rainy day. Also, contact a publicist. I'm going to need a booking ASAP. Later, as the news reports on the escape from the SHIELD headquarters are televised, the report mentions that they have an exclusive interview with their reporter, Patsy Walker. The camera changes and Patsy says that as of late, the fate of Norman Osborn is a complete mystery until tonight. With her right now is Norman Osborn discussing the recent events that have stopped the course of his life, and how he found himself incarcerated without trial by the same government that he dedicated his life's work to. Norman tells the viewers that he was wrongfully arrested for a crime that they never once told him about. And Nick Fury, he was the one who injected him with the untested chemicals that turned him into a monster. Out in the streets, Peter and Mary Jane go on their date while Peter cares for the school project Parenthood Baby. They notice one of the electronic stores playing the news, and on it is Norman's broadcast to the world. Without saying a word, Mary Jane drops her ice cream cone and she begins to run, and Peter catches up with her and she shouts that he's going to come and kill her. He threw her off of a bridge. He knows who they are. Peter grabs her, telling her yes, he knows, but he doesn't want to kill us. He wants to kill me. Peter and Mary Jane rush home, but before they can even get into Peter's house, Mary Jane's mother begins to scream at her that she needs to get into the car. They're leaving right now. Mary Jane says that for once she's right, and Peter tells her to just go. He'll handle it. As Mary Jane drives off, Peter walks into his home to see Aunt May with an older gentleman. The man reaches out, telling Peter hello. His name is Dr. Miles Warren, a friend of his aunt's. Peter says, hi, can I talk to my aunt for just a moment in private? It's kind of really important. And Aunt May pulls Peter aside, saying that this is close to being rude. And without even responding to that, Peter says that Norman escaped and he's on TV telling the world that he's the victim. Aunt May asks if he knows who he is, and Peter says, yeah, that's why she needs to leave and get as far away as possible. Go anywhere but here, like a hotel or something. And Aunt May asks what is she supposed to tell Miles, but before Peter can answer, Miles says that he's terribly sorry, but one of his old patients is having an episode. So can they get together another time? She tells him, of course, that's fine, and Miles says, good. Hopefully everything with Peter there works out. I'll be in touch. Once Aunt May leaves, Peter suits up and heads to the only place that he can think of to start looking for clues, Norman's apartment. As he gets in, Peter thinks that surely Norman wouldn't be stupid enough to have returned here. And that's when Peter notices some recently eaten food lying around. Down the hall, a man walks out of the bathroom and Peter stares for a moment and says, hey, you're not Osborn. Electro drops his rose and electrifies himself. And Peter shouts, far out! It's that naked electric guy! Electro shouts, it's Electro! As bolts of electricity begin to shoot out into the air, Peter dodges, saying that he really doesn't want to know what part of his body that's shooting out of. As Peter jumps through Electro's attack, he says that he's just here to check on Norman. So why is he even here? Electro rides out of the apartment shouting, eat me! And Peter says, why are you running? Peter quickly jumps out after him, and as he catches up, Electro asks, will you just insert censored word off? Peter shouts, hey, 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 potty mouth! As the two begin to fight, Carol and the other SHIELD soldiers wearing Hulkbuster armor jet down and open fire on Electro. He begins firing bolts of electricity towards the soldiers, but while distracted, Peter whacks Electro with a tire. He then takes the wiring from an electrical pole and he starts wrapping up Electro, asking if this is the part where he, gives up? Carol shouts for the soldiers to open fire and they begin to rain down shots on Electro, and as he falls, Peter says that could have gone better. She then points her gun at Peter, telling him that he has until the count of 3 to get on his knees. He shouts, no! I want to talk to Nick Fury! And she yells for them to take him down. As the soldiers begin to shoot, one hits Peter in the shoulder, and a little while later, Peter begins to wake back up, finding himself in a SHIELD cell. Peter calls out, hello! And Carol says that it's a pleasure to meet him without the mask. He shouts, why can't I just go one day without someone knowing who I really am? Carol then starts to shoot webbing from his web shooter and tells him that he should have kept his mask on then. Peter yells out, hey, the fluid is expensive, and who are you? She continues to shoot webs, stating that she's the new Nick Fury. And Peter says, that's good for you. Can I go now? And she tells him no, she's playing a game here. One that she didn't invent, but one that she has to play. Meanwhile, back at Joseph's apartment, Norman watches the news as Peter is arrested and he shouts, that's funny! I escaped and they arrest Spider-Man! They even took that electrical idiot off my back! Joseph tells Norman that really he can't be keeping him here. He needs to go turn himself in. And Norman says, that's fine. They won't be putting me back in prison. Plus, I still need that money. Joseph says that he isn't helping him, and Norman leans in asking, do you mean that you don't have my money? As Norman grabs him, Joseph tells him that he's making this difficult, and as Norman's eyes light up, he says, "What's going to be difficult here is identifying your body." A short while later, back at the SHIELD cell, Carol receives a call from Agent Wu saying that he just got on scene where a high-rise apartment is burning. It belonged to a lawyer named Joseph Sinat, who happened to be Norman Osborn's lawyer. Right now, they have the war room scanning for traces of Norman's powers, so he'll contact them once they receive word. As Carol hangs up, she tells Peter, "All right, the game's over. We need to..." But before they can finish, Kitty jumps in, phasing through Carol, grabbing Peter's web shooters and mask, stating that these don't belong to them. Peter shouts, "Kitty!" and she says, "What's up?" and then phases the two of them to the ground. Outside on the docks, Peter webs up the guards and tells Kitty that she really needs to stop hitting everyone. But before they can leave, Carol and the other soldiers come out, and they tell her that she would call Xavier, but she's not welcome there anymore, is she? Kitty shouts, "You can't just hold people! You arrested him for no reason! He isn't the bad guy here!" And Carol sighs. "We didn't arrest him. We were placing him in protective custody. There's a maniac on the loose, and I'm just trying to use him as bait," which didn't work. Another soldier walks over to Carol, telling her that they gotta hit a Norman, and Carol tells the teams to move out and hands Peter and Kitty guns. Peter asks, "What is this for?" and Carol says that they're on the team now because who here has experience fighting a goblin? Not SHIELD. Kitty then says that they're minors and they just gave them guns. Carol tells her that they're not guns, they are neuro-neutralizers. They point and shoot, and Norman stops goblining, in theory. Over at Norman's accountant's apartment, he asks where is his money, because he knows what he paid him, and this is kind of too expensive for his pay grade. The accountant says that he got a new job, and Norman slams his fist down, asking, "Do I really need to hurt your family to get it out of you?" The accountant tries to say that he doesn't have it, and Norman stops him, changing into the goblin, telling him that would be a yes then. Before Norman can do anything, shots are fired from the window, separating the two of them, and Peter swings in, punching Norman, asking if it's really him in there. As Norman is blasted again, Peter tells him he still looks like the goblin, he's not going down, and Carol says, "Well, he should be down." Peter goes back to beating on Norman, but as Norman grabs Peter, he throws him out of the building. Everyone opens fire again on Norman, and then he too ends up falling out of the building. Peter tries to shoot webbing out to catch himself, but he realizes that he's out since Carol wasted most of it. Kitty jumps out of the building, aiming straight for Peter, but just then, Norman goes crashing into the streets. Peter opens up his eyes, asking, "What's that smell? Am I dead?" But Kitty tells him no, that would be them. They're in the sewer underneath the street. The two phase back up, and as Carol lands, Peter asks, "So, where's Norman?" She tells him that's a good question. Where is he? One of the soldiers says that he fell and bounced, and the others then say that they don't know. Peter looks around, and then he jumps down, shouting to Carol, "You had him! First you arrested me, dangled me in front of Norman, and I still helped you. Now after all of this, you lose him? And this is because you used up all of my web fluid. I would have been able to avoid this. All of this. Right now, me and Kitty are going home. We have school in 4 hours, and if you see Norman, give me a call." After getting away, Peter heads home, and he looks around thinking about how things have gotten quiet. A little too quiet. And as he goes to get something to eat, he feels his spidey sense going off. When he walks into his living room, he sees Norman sitting there with a sheet wrapped around him, and Peter tells him to get out of there. Norman says so long as he doesn't use his powers, he can't be tracked. And Peter then asks, what does he want? Norman tells him, "I want my life back. I want my money, my son, and I would gladly destroy Nick Fury and anyone else that I can to do it. Right now, you're the only proof left on the planet to show everyone that I am, in fact, a genius. Proof that I belong in this world." Peter shouts that it was an accident, and Norman says, "So was penicillin." He goes on saying that that is the point. He's buried Nick Fury in the press, so now if Spider-Man would step forward and tell the world that he was created by Norman Osborn, all would be forgiven. Peter shouts, "You're a murderer!" And as the two argue, there's a knock at the door. He looks over and sees a note being slid under it, and as he reads it, it says, "Turn on CNN." Peter grabs the remote to turn on the TV, and on it is Harry Osborn at SHIELD headquarters, telling everyone that his father is a sick, sick man. He's a liar, and all of the things that he's saying is not true. He killed his mommy. Norman's eyes widen and then light up, and on the screen, Carol looks back at the camera and smiles. Moments pass, and Peter starts to wake up, rubbing his head. What happened? I remember Harry on the news and then Norman hitting me. Oh, that's what happened. Over at the SHIELD headquarters, Harry says that he can't believe that he was on CNN. And Carol tells him actually he wasn't. That feed was just sent to a particular TV. They knew his father would be watching. What she needs for him to do now is get away before his father shows up. And no sooner than she says that, than the soldiers begin to report that they have visuals on Norman Osborn. Carol grabs a gun, telling everyone that once he's in range, fire at will. And Norman leaps through the blast, and one manages to hit him and send him into the ocean. The soldiers then ask if they got him, but that's when the platform begins to shift. Everyone looks at Norman, and he says that he would like to have a word with his son. Everyone begins to open fire, and then Harry begins to lose control, and he changes into a goblin. As the two goblins clash, Norman shouts, "This is the thanks I get. I'm very disappointed in you." But before Norman can continue beating down on Harry, Peter swings in, cracking Norman off of him, and he begins to choke him. Peter says, "Come on, time to go night-night." And then he feels himself starting to burn. He jumps up trying to put himself out since he got lit on fire by the Green Goblin. And then he asks, "How could you do that?" Harry runs in, punching his father down, shouting for him to stop. And as they go back to fighting, the soldiers begin to open fire, blasting Norman away.
Appreciate it, Mohab. Good to see you, man.
That was Norman. They see him walk out. Norman begins to throw fiery blasts back at the soldiers, and Peter quickly webs up his head to try and blind him so he doesn't know where he's throwing them. As Norman pulls on the web to bring him close, another blast shoots by, throwing people off of him. Harry jumps out, tackling Norman to the ground, telling him to stop, and Norman flips over him, punching him into the ground. As he punches Norman, he shouts, "This is how you honor me, after I've given you everything!" And as Norman punches him, Harry's arm begins to change back into human form. Norman stops and looks down to see his son bloody and lifeless. Norman slowly starts
Glad to hear it.
and he says, "Please, kill me." Carol tells him gladly. She fires. Peter pulls himself back up to the platform, and as Norman's body falls to the ground, he runs over, picking up Harry. Carol tells Peter that she's truly sorry, and he runs up grabbing her, telling her to just stay away from him. "You are not Fury, and I don't know you, so from here on out, you better stay the hell away from me." The next day in class, the teacher arrives, saying that she really hopes no one lost their project baby. But before she can start the class, Peter tells everyone that he has something he would like to say. This morning, their friend Harry Osborn died. He knows lately everyone started to forget about him since things went under some kind of bizarre circumstances, but that's fine. He would like to know if they can talk about him for one moment. Harry was a friend to everyone here. They've all known him since kindergarten, and not long ago, he himself, Peter Parker, couldn't walk down the hall without someone doing something stupid to him. But there was one person who stood up for him, and that was Harry. It may not have seemed like it, but to him, Harry was a hero who stood up for people who couldn't defend themselves. And that's what being a hero is, right? Today, they lost one. As the birds chirp in the park, Eddie Brock sits on a bench staring off at the scenery. An older woman walks by and stops to sit, and Eddie turns to her, telling her that his name is Eddie Brock. It's a nice day, he's hungry. Before she can answer, he tells her that he's sorry. He's been sitting here all day trying to figure out how his life became what it is. He was a college student doing homework and going to parties, but now he has nowhere to go. Back when he was a kid, his father invented a medical miracle, a cure for cancer, and it ended up being a parasite, and it attacked him. Suddenly he changed into this thing, a superpower thing, and that's when him and Spider-Man started throwing down. For the record, he knows who Spider-Man is. They used to be pals, not anymore. His name is Peter Parker. Eddie goes on saying how he ran into Peter. They fought, and then there was a flash of light. And when he woke up, he was somewhere else, hungry. And he ate the people that passed by in the park. In fact, he had actually gone out into the city to feed, and that's when he saw him again. It was Spider-Man fighting some giant metal rhino guy. And the thing is, when he saw Spider-Man, he felt great. Was the suit wanting him to go? There was a time when Spider-Man did wear this suit, even though it wasn't for a very long period. Maybe the suit's connected to him. Did it want to kiss him or kill him? He couldn't tell. Then later that night, he was attacked by some mercenary groups calling themselves the Wild Pack. Their lasers fired into him, and he fought back, stopping most of them. But then, there was one more. A woman with silver hair calling herself Sable. She began to open fire on him, and they fought for a bit, but in the end, he was able to escape. That night, he just knew that he had that feeling again. That feeling like he was close to Spider-Man. Maybe days and weeks passed, and he couldn't really tell, but one day, he felt it again. Spider-Man was close. He and his class started taking a field trip to the museum, and he just had to get closer. So he broke in wearing the suit, and sure enough, Spider-Man was there. But since he couldn't really control himself, they began to fight, destroying everything around him. Spider-Man, being the hero that he was, tried to keep things to a minimum, but as the fight went on, they ended up back out in the street. He was so close to getting Spider-Man, and that's when that Sable woman appeared and started shooting at him and Spider-Man. But back in the current time, the woman sitting on the bench says, wait. You're the monster from the museum? Eddie looks at her, and Venom comes out and eats them. Eddie reverts back, stating, yeah, that was me. Now where was I? That's right. After Sable shot me, I turned into my normal self again. Spider-Man tried to stop us, but he was already having some issues of his own. Sable then took me away and left Spider-Man in the streets. Some time passed, and I woke up and I was in a cell. It was there that I met the man, Bolivar Trask. He was the man that my father worked for when Venom was created, and he wanted the suit back. He tried to explain that the suit actually belonged to his father, but Bolivar said that was before his father died. He actually sold it to him, and it actually belonged to him. It belonged to Trask, and it was worth billions. So after finally getting control of him, Bolivar and his doctors put him into a test tube to try and split him from the suit. But before they could, some man showed up. Some man in a beetle costume. Beetle broke through the walls, tearing apart everything and knocking everyone out with some kind of gas. Once he was done, he opened up the test tube, freeing him, and then he held out a small container. Beetle didn't say anything, and when he attacked him, Beetle cut off a piece of him and put that piece into the container. After getting a part of him, Beetle just flew off. However, that didn't sit well with him, so he followed Beetle. He jumped on top of him while he was trying to get away, and the two of them ended up crashing into the streets. They fought there, and that's when Spider-Man showed up, splitting them back up. And that's when it happened. After being knocked down to the ground, the suit reached out to Spider-Man, and then he tried to get the suit not to leave, but the suit chose Spider-Man over him. Once the suit completely covered up Spider-Man, him and the Beetle guy started to fight. Spider-Man knocked him away, but it also looked like Spider-Man was trying to fight against something. Something like the hunger. Before long, Sable and her Wild Pack showed up again. Spider-Man tried to fight them, throwing cars and anything that he could grab. Sable's force in the air fired down into Spider-Man, knocking him into a nearby building. But that's when they thought that they had him. So Spider-Man jumped back out onto the helicopter, dragging it into the street. Sable shouted to her men to fall back and retreat because the big boys were here. At first, he didn't understand. And that's when he saw Nick Fury and the Ultimates. Captain America jumped in and started to beat into Spider-Man. But that's when Spider-Man started to eat him. Before he could, though, it looked like he was struggling to hold back. And then he threw Captain America instead. As Thor jumped in to attack, he remembered himself yelling, "That's what you get, Parker!" And Nick asked if he just said, "Parker." Nick said sorry for whatever reason. And then he told Thor to hit him with the good stuff. Thor flew into the sky and suddenly a giant bolt of lightning struck down into Spider-Man. All he could do was watch and cry. They were hurting Venom. It was his suit. All he wanted was for them to give it back. The next day after everything, he went to Spider-Man's school. And since he knows that he's a high schooler and all, he found Spider-Man with his little girlfriend outside. He told him that he wanted it back. But it turns out Spider-Man didn't have it. That SHIELD group or whatever it was took it back after the huge fight. Spider-Man told them to just forget about it, and he told them that he needs it back, or he's going to publicly announce who he is. He'll go to the place where he works and tell everyone about his little secret identity, that Peter Parker is actually Spider-Man. But back in the current day, Eddie Brock is still sitting on the park bench watching the scenery when an older man sits on the bench next to him. The man takes off his hat, stating, "A nice day, isn't it?" And Eddie tells him that his name is Eddie, and it is a nice day, and right now, he's hungry. Anyway, let me get back to my story. After not hearing from Spider-Man for some time, I decided to stop by his house one night. When I rang the doorbell, his aunt answered and I tried to tell her that Spider-Man was there. I knew who he was. And after I told his aunt who he was, she started to unlock the door for me. And then suddenly she pulled a gun on me. I tried to calm her down, but she was really trying to threaten me, so I grabbed the gun from her. And just as I thought, Spider-Man appeared and punched me. Spider-Man was getting ready to beat me further, but then he looked back and decided to take this elsewhere. Once we landed on a rooftop, Spider-Man kept shouting, asking, "Why are you even doing this?" And I told him, "It's because you've got everything. Powers, the suit, and the suit chose you." While we argued, though, there was a girl that showed up. It looked like the girl that was inside of Spider-Man's house, and that girl's name was Gwen. Spider-Man said that he would show me what it's like to have that thing inside of me. And as Spider-Man went on, Gwen started to change into something, and that's when I knew that's what I needed. Gwen attacked me, and then I felt it. I felt the suit. Part of it was inside of him all along. All the suit needed was more. After touching Gwen, the suit started to grow, absorbing the other suit. Spider-Man tried to separate them, but then I knocked Spider-Man away. Gwen shouted, like she wanted to protect Spider-Man, and then she jumped on top of him. They started fighting, punching each other back and forth. And just as Gwen thought that she had won, I let my suit creep up behind her. Once enough of it was behind her, the suit covered Gwen and it started to devour her suit. After I absorbed all of it, I grew larger than ever before. I felt more powerful than ever before. Spider-Man tried to attack, but that's when I knocked him down into the alleyway from before. Spider-Man followed me, and I told him that there was no more fighting. I had what I wanted! Spider-Man tried to stop me, but after slipping away into the sewer, I managed to escape. Back in the present time, the man puts on his hat, stating that if he's got this right, you fought Spider-Man, and now you're some sort of what exactly? Eddie looks at the man, and Venom comes out to eat him. And just as Eddie lunges, the man holds out his fist, sucking him up. After capturing all of Eddie, the man looks around, and then metal plates start to form over the man's fist. Seconds later, Beetle rockets off into the sky, reporting that he's pleased to inform the Lord that he has the recipient of the package. He is on his way back to the home country. The Lords bless Latvia. Once again, we've jumped ahead in the timeline. What you've missed is that Peter Parker was allowed to keep his powers as long as he underwent training with Steve Rogers. And Johnny Storm and Bobby Drake are now living with Aunt May. Now our story begins over in the SHIELD containment facility as director Carol Danvers asks Norman Osborn if he understood everything that she just said. And Norman begins to open up his eyes, stating that, "I thought I was dead." And Carol tells him, "Yeah, about that, that's the first thing on our list of things that we need to figure out about Norman Osborn." Norman looks up, gritting his teeth. And Carol points her gun at him, that she would love nothing more than for him to try and break free. Norman watches, and he closes his eyes. A short while later in the holding cells, Dr. Leonard Sampson tells Norman that he's here to ask him some questions regarding his brush with death. Sampson then begins to ask some questions, and Norman stops him, telling him, "If you want anything from me, you can tell the blonde that it's going to cost her. I want privileges and considerations." Carol radios down from the room, telling Norman that he can go to hell. They already have his blood and his DNA. He can just rot down there for all she cares. Norman's eyes begin to glow when he says, "You have no idea what's inside of me." He begins to stand up and his body begins to change, and Carol shouts for everyone to get to their stations. They have a code red alert and they need a full lockdown. Norman changes into the Goblin and begins to rip apart his cell, telling everyone that they have no idea how close to God I've become. Before the soldiers can begin firing, the room begins to fill with fire, burning everyone alive and tearing down the walls. Norman then calls out for everyone to come to him, and through the destroyed cells, Electro, Kraven, Sandman, Vulture, and Otto Octavius all come out. Sandman says that if they're going to make a break for it, they should probably do it now. And with that, Norman jumps out of the SHIELD headquarters onto the flight pad. He looks at the helicopter asking if anyone can fly this, and Electro tells him, "Yeah, I was actually in the Air Force at one point." Meanwhile, over at the cemetery, Spider-Man swings down to Captain America asking, "Why are we meeting here of all places?" And Steve tells him that he needs to learn about life and death. And from what he's seen, Spider-Man doesn't fight like other lives depend on it. You're nothing more than a teenager, and frankly, you act as such. Carol Danvers came to the Ultimates asking what we should do about Spider-Man. Thor and Iron Man gave the thumbs up, but I feel that you should be benched, soldier, and since I was outvoted, I'm here to teach and train you. As Steve goes on, his communicator goes off and Carol says that they have a priority situation. There's been a breakout. However, that isn't what she's calling for. Fury's Black Ops team has gone rogue in the city. Steve runs over to his motorcycle, telling Spider-Man that they're gonna have to do this another time. It's a level 1 emergency, and you are not to follow, soldier. As Steve speeds off, Spider-Man webs off following him, telling him that it's not like he can stop him from following. Back with Norman and the others, they all break into an apartment to lay low while Vulture turns on the TV. The news shows the Ultimates fighting on a bridge, and Norman says that this is good. His eyes widen as he watches, stating, "This is God's work. What I'm showing you all here is that we're going to kill Peter Parker." And over at that bridge, Spider-Man looks on as the explosions begin to rip the bridge apart when his phone rings. He picks it up, telling Mary Jane that this isn't really a good time, and Mary Jane shouts that it's Norman. He's alive and he's escaped. You have to get Gwen and Aunt May as far away as you can. Back at the apartment, everyone discusses what they should do next when Kraven suggests that they just get out of town. Norman looks back and tells everyone, "No, we stay here. What we need to do is here in New York." Otto says, "Look, I appreciate everything that you've done for me in the past, but I've got to say, I'm not about this killing Peter Parker thing anymore. All I want to do now is go back to work again. Be a scientist. We should leave Spider-Man alone and just take pride in what we've created." Norman changes into the Goblin, punching Otto out the window, asking, "Whee!" As Otto begins to fall, he starts to gather the surrounding metal to catch himself, and when he lands, he screams for Norman! He jumps back to the window, but before he can hit Otto, Otto uses one of his arms and he cracks Norman across the face. Otto shouts, "Just because I don't want to fight doesn't mean that I've forgotten how." Meanwhile, back at the Parker home, they're watching TV when Peter comes running and telling Aunt May and Gwen that they have to get out of here. Aunt May asks what's going on, and Peter shouts, "It's Norman, the Goblin! He's alive and he's broken out of jail, and he's brought everyone that I've ever beaten up along with him." Peter Parker pulls out his mask and he says, "They know who I am, and they know where I live." As the two begin to gather the things, Aunt May tells Peter that he needs to come with them. And he grabs her hand, telling her, "I can't. I have to do this. Now just go!" Back in the streets of New York, Norman throws fireballs, knocking Otto to the ground, and he jumps towards him. The metal arms try to hold him back, and Otto shouts, "You need to stop this!" And Norman screams, "After all I've done for you, this is what you do!" He punches into one of the metal arms, and soon he pushes through to Otto himself. Punch after punch, he begins to beat down on Otto's head until finally, the metal arms fall apart. A short while later, Peter swings down and sees Otto's smoldering upper body, stating that he did it. Norman Osborn actually killed Otto Octavius. Some of the civilians run up telling Spider-Man that he should have seen it. It was like the Hulk or something was going crazy. And Spider-Man shouts, "Which way did he go?" And everyone starts to point. So Spider-Man quickly swings up towards the apartment. As he gets in, he looks around stating that of course they're not here. Why would they be here? And just then he sees the fight back over at the bridge and decides to head back. However, as soon as he swings into it, he notices the Punisher getting into position with a sniper rifle. He looks back down and he sees Steve standing over Nick Fury and the gun is pointed right at him. Frank Castle takes aim and Spider-Man tries to web him, but he misses. As Spider-Man swings low, the gun goes off and then he tackles Steve and the bullet goes straight through Spider-Man's side. After passing out, Spider-Man wakes up to see the bridge destroyed and blood pouring out of himself. He thinks that he should probably go to the hospital, but if he does, people are going to find out who Spider-Man is. So he webs up the wounds, stating that it should at least last him until he can get to. But before he can finish that, he sees Norman and the others shooting by. Meanwhile, back at the Parker home, Johnny Storm and Bobby Drake return, and Bobby shouts that it's hard not telling the girl that he's trying to hook up with that he doesn't have powers. She was complaining that his hands were cold. Johnny calls out asking if anyone's home, and then he finds a note on the phone stating, "Get out of the house immediately and call as soon as you get to a safe place. Why isn't your phone on?" Bobby asks, "Why isn't my phone on?" And Johnny tells him that he kind of melts it every time that he flames up. So as the two open the door to leave, Norman and the rest are standing right there. Craven says Spider-Man's scent is here and these boys are not who they are looking for. Norman tells Johnny Storm to bring Peter outside. No! Johnny says that he has a better idea. How about he just gets the hell out of here before he has to paint him a new set of eyebrows? As he flames up, he charges towards Norman, and Norman responds by changing into the Goblin. As the two clash, an explosion goes off, and Norman screams out in pain. Sandman reaches out to Johnny, and Johnny asks, "What are you gonna do? Make my underpants itchy?" The sand washes over Johnny, putting him out, and Bobby skates in, blasting a Sandman with his ice. Electro shoots the ice slide, knocking Bobby away, and Johnny gets back up to rejoin the fight. But through Bobby's pillar of ice, Sandman crushes down on Johnny once more. Bobby rides back in, throwing ice shards, and Electro tells him, "Really? Ice and water? Really?" Electro electrifies the ice, causing it to explode, throwing Bobby into the nearby house. Electro then says that he should probably get a move on. Surely the neighbors have already called the cops. And Craven sniffs the air, telling them all to wait. Everyone looks down the road to see Peter standing in the street. Vulture pops his wings and he jets towards him. And he shouts, asking, "You know what you did to my life?" And Peter webs up his face, swinging him into a house. Still struggling through the pain of the bullet passing through him, he huffs, telling them, "Who's next?" He looks around and he sees Norman, Johnny, and Bobby all knocked out, and he thinks that he's just gotta stall them until the Ultimates can get here. He calls out to them, telling them, "Here's what's gonna happen. In a second, S.H.I.E.L.D. and some other superheroes are gonna show up, and I'm talking all of them. So if you surrender, I can..." Craven says, "It's a bluff. Look at the boy. He's a mess." And Sandman yells, "He's right." Him, Electro, and Craven all charge forward. Peter kicks over a fire hydrant and he aims the water at the three of them. As the water goes towards Electro, he bursts into a mini explosion, knocking him and the others to the ground. But before Electro can change back, Peter quickly webs him up and flings him over, punching him out. He then falls to his knees, stating, "That's all I had left in me." And then he looks up, stating, "Hi." The neighbors gather around Spider-Man, some with their phones taking pictures. And Spider-Man asks if someone could, call 911. "I'm not doing so good here." His spider sense begins to go off and a boy from the crowd shouts, "Behind you!" Sandman pulls himself together and begins to crush down on Spider-Man, trapping him inside of the sand. As Sandman tries to hold on, a web shoots out and Spider-Man pulls himself out as his spider sense is going off again. He says that he already knows he's under attack, and the Vulture swoops in, knocking Spider-Man to the ground. He hits the ground bouncing and he starts to get back up when he sees the Vulture throw down 2 grenades. He shouts for everyone to run, and he tries to web up the grenades to contain the explosion. As the blast goes off, it throws him into a car, and he bounces off into the lawn. Over on the freeway, Aunt May gets a call from their neighbor, Doris, asking where is she. She tells her that she's out driving, and Doris tells her that she doesn't know how to say this, but she thinks that Peter is Spider-Man. Aunt May asks what's going on, and Doris says that these men are here, and she doesn't know how to say this, but it looks like they're killing him. Without a moment of hesitation, Aunt May slams on the brakes, and she spins the car around, heading back towards the house. Back in the house, the 3 villains continue to beat down on Peter Parker, now with the entire world aware that he is Spider-Man, until Sandman gets ready to kill him. But before he can, a bolt of electricity shoots through him, causing him to fall apart. Electro shouts that there's only so much crap that I can take from a 13-year-old kid, so this one I'm gonna finish. He begins to charge up when suddenly a gun is fired, and the gun continues to go off, shooting several more times into Electro's back until he finally explodes. Peter looks around asking what happened, and then he sees Aunt May holding a smoking gun. She starts to look around asking, What did I just do?" And Peter takes the gun away, telling her it's okay. "I got it now." He slowly begins to fall back to his knees, and Aunt May screams for someone to call an ambulance. Gwen goes to check on Johnny and Bobby, stating that they are breathing, so she thinks that they're going to be okay. She thinks. And Peter begins to tell Aunt May that he's sorry. He knows this isn't the life that she wanted. She smiles, telling him that he's a crazy boy. And Peter smiles back, saying, yeah, at least I'm kinda cute. Then a shadow looms over them, and Norman lights up. Just as Norman slams his fist down, Peter grabs Aunt May and Gwen, telling them that you need to go right now. As they land, Peter grabs Gwen, telling her that he doesn't care how she does it. Just take Aunt May and get her out of here. Go as far as they can. Aunt May looks at her coat and she sees blood, and she tells Peter to wait. As Norman jumps over the house, as Peter pushes Gwen, asking, didn't you hear what I just said? Get out of here! Before Norman can land, he jumps into the air, punching Norman back into the ground. He catches himself on a lamppost, stating, can you just do me a favor now and stay right there? I'll be right back. He leaps away and Norman screams for him to come back. And Peter tells him, yeah, hold that thought. He lands next to Johnny and he shakes him awake, telling him, I'm in a really bad situation and I could really use your help, man. Johnny pushes Peter out of the way, telling him, I got this. Flame on! He rockets back into the air, grabbing Norman, and he shouts, come on, burn! And as Johnny begins to gather all of his strength, he creates an explosion into Norman. However, when everyone looks, they see Norman absorbing the blast, draining Johnny's fire. His body begins to bounce on the ground and he says, I'm sorry, I'm too. And Norman begins to float over Peter, turning white and purple from Johnny's heat, and he starts to throw down fireballs. The moment that Norman stops, Peter grabs a mailbox and he begins to beat Norman with it. He jumps onto Norman, asking him, what's next? Are you gonna kill me? Then what? It won't bring back the son that you killed. Using what strength he has left, he lifts and throws Norman into a fire hydrant, extinguishing him. He then falls to his knees, and when he looks back up, he sees Norman get back up and walk towards him. Norman tells him, no, it won't bring Harry back, but at least Spider-Man will be dead. Peter hangs his head, telling him, well, there's that. Norman's eyes begin to glow, and then a bright light begins to shine on them, and a speeding truck races through. Peter sees the person behind the wheel as Mary Jane, and she runs the truck straight into Norman, crashing it into him. Suddenly, the windshield is punched out, and before Mary Jane can panic, Peter jumps in, pulling her out of the mess. He shouts, that was insane! Was that truck stolen? And Mary Jane tells him, you're welcome for that. The two kiss. And then Peter yells, now that that's over, get the hell out of here! And he throws her into the distance. Before landing, though, he webs up a net to catch her. And that's when Norman crawls out from underneath the truck, stating that today is your day of reckoning. I'm delivering God's message, and God wants this to happen. Peter picks up the truck, and he slams it on Norman, screaming, shut up! He tries to pick it back up again, and Norman tells him, I am going to destroy you and your family, just as you did mine. Peter brings the truck down again, crushing Norman, and he steps back and explodes in a fiery blast, throwing Peter to the ground. Johnny quickly runs over to Peter's body, and he looks back to see Norman's hand, his human hand, burning in the fire. Johnny says that it looks like he got him. Peter tells him, good, that's about all I had in me. Mary Jane runs over, shouting that they need an ambulance. Someone call 911. And Aunt May starts pushing through the crowd, with Gwen stating that Peter told them not to be here. But as she gets through, she sees Peter laying lifelessly on the ground, and Mary Jane screaming. Tears are falling from her eyes, and Mary Jane says that he got really hurt. Aunt May runs over to Peter, asking, what did you do? And he coughs and weakly says, it's okay, I did it. Aunt May shouts, telling him to hang on. The ambulance is... And he stops her, and he grabs her coat, asking, didn't you see? It's okay, I did it. He begins to cry, telling her that he couldn't save him. He couldn't save Uncle Ben, no matter what he did. But for her, he saved her. He did it. He saved her life. Before he could finish, his hand gives out, and he closes his eyes. Aunt May's eyes go wide, and Johnny leans down to hear his heart. But before he comes back up, he doesn't say anything. Aunt May shouts, no. Oh God, no, not him too. Please, not him too. And Mary Jane picks up Peter's body, crying. Gwen pulls Aunt May away as she screams for him to come back. And while everyone mourns the loss of their hero, Norman listens to everyone's cries, and he smiles. His evil, twisted smile, because he took Spider-Man's life. As Peter's vision fades, he begins to feel a warm light wash over him. He opens his eyes, and he sees himself walking with Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben pulls him close, telling him, you did good. You did real good.
And there you have it, today's full story. I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right here on this channel, as it will only ever be receiving full stories from the...
That was a pretty good comic. I forgot that was the one where Spider-Man died. Watch some Batman this time.
Every Saturday, the Gotham Gazette includes a small lifestyles piece called Gotham Is. In the column, random Gothamites are asked to complete the sentence, Gotham is, using 3 words or less. The Gazette has been running the Gotham Is column for years, ever since I was a boy. Here's some of the words used to describe Gotham in the past few weeks. Damned. Cursed. Bedlam. Murderous. Gotham is villainous. Gotham is a losing game. Gotham is hopeless.
Let's get no way out, Bats.
I want his space.
Gotta tear you apart, Bats. You're all ours now.
There's no place like home. Once in a while, someone names one of the city's villains as their answer to the Gotham Is question. Usually it's some kid, a teenager going for shock value. But now and then someone actually tries to make the argument that the city is best reflected in its villains.
Come here, you son.
For example, Gotham is Two-Face, meaning Gotham is a city at odds with itself. Or Gotham is Killer Croc, meaning the city is little more than a cannibalistic monster. I've seen a few Mr. Freezes, 2 Black Masks. Lately I've seen a couple of new names appear too. But for me, Gotham's criminals,
After I kill you, I'm gonna become you.
whether old or new, will never define this city.
Oh, got him.
Because in the end, they're simple and cowardly, ruled by predictive desires. Granted, now and then, one of them will do something that catches even me off guard.
Nowhere else to run now, Bats. Ooh, you're in trouble now.
Something particularly depraved. Or twisted.
There you are. And here I was beginning to think you were going to die without even saying goodbye.
You ready to do this?
Always so serious. Fine then. Let's cut to the punchline!
Bunker, what are you doing, you turned-on piece of shit?
Joker, where are you going?
Behind you.
Got it!
What the hell is going on here?
Of course, one of the most common answers to the Gotham is question is Batman. Gotham is Batman. Gotham is Batman the City. Gotham is the Bat. All answers I'm partial to myself. Still, I like to think a vote for Batman is a broader affirmation. A vote for all of Gotham's heroes. A vote for the GCPD. Honest, tireless men like Commissioner Jim Gordon.
I still don't understand. A full-scale breakout with no warning?
It wasn't a breakout. I've been investigating a weak link at Arkham Asylum. A guard named Matthews. I was coming for him. He sprang the doors to stop me.
Not Dan Matthews. He's one of the best men on payroll there. I've known him since he was an academy boy.
He's got a father with health problems, a divorce looming.
He and Belle are getting divorced? Huh. I had no idea.
Neither does she.
Ah, jeez. Who's the new pal?
Cocktail waitress, Iceberg Lounge. Impressive sheet of her own.
And you found him out how? You had a man on the inside?
Something like that.
Dan Matthews on the take at Arkham. There's nobody the scum of Gotham can't get to, is there?
I wouldn't say that.
One more thing. On the CC footage, it almost looks like you're fighting alongside the Joker. Tell me that'd be ridiculous.
That'd be ridiculous, Jim.
That's what I figured. Just a simple trick of the light. So it's true. You do actually practice brooding. I'd always suspected.
I'm working.
With the computer off.
Satisfied?
Impressed.
It's a new system I'm testing. A contact lens with a remote access processor linked to the computer down here. And Dick, take off the EMP mask.
Believe me, I've been dying to. I just wanted to make sure you disconnected from the mainframe first. So, a contact lens with remote access.
Meaning anywhere you go, the Batcave goes with you. Now that sounds healthy.
We should go.
For what it's worth, how did I do as him?
Are you asking me if you were convincing as a homicidal maniac, Dick?
I suppose I am.
Then yes. As a matter of fact, you were.
Score 1 for Alfred's School of Acting. Still, I can't believe you left me in there an extra day.
I needed to be sure it was Matthews. Besides, with all you've been shouldering lately, I figured you could use the day off.
A day off? In Arkham? Only you, Bruce. Only you.
Finally.
It's a who's who of Gotham in there.
Facial recognition, go.
Facial recognition. Algorithm. Activating. Tim Drake. Former Robin. Current Red Robin. Teen Titans member. Access level. High. Damian Wayne. Current Robin. Access level. High. Dick Grayson. Former Robin. Current Nightwing. Access level. High.
Tell me he's not using facial recognition for the party.
The party? He's using it to remember who you are, Drake.
And zing.
Run diagnostic.
And you call yourself a detective.
Lately, I've been asking myself the Gotham is question a lot. What is Gotham City to me, Bruce Wayne? In a single word. Home? Family? Purpose? But the truth, the real truth is, I couldn't answer the question. But then I remembered something, friends. I remembered something my father, Thomas Wayne, used to say to me before bed sometimes. Back when I was a boy and I'd had a bad day. When I'd fallen down a hole in the ground or skinned my knee. At the end of a day like that, he'd pat my head and he'd say, "Bruce, tomorrow is one dream away." That was his phrase. Sentimental, I know, but still, it worked for me. Now, as most of you know, my father died when I was just a boy. He was gunned down, along with my mother, in Crime Alley across town. And as you can imagine, the days following his death were the worst of my life. Days of anger and fear and sadness. Still, that phrase, my father's phrase, "Tomorrow is one dream away," it kept coming back to me. And deep down I knew, much as it hurt right then, things would get better. Now why am I telling you this? Well, friends, my point is this. When circumstances are challenging or frightening, asking ourselves what our city is pointless. Because all we will see when we look around at the buildings and streets will be our own fears, our own frustrations, our own demons. But if we stop looking to the present and the past, and instead we look to the future, if we ask ourselves what can be what will be tomorrow, then we're asking the right question. Because to hope, to dream, to predict, is to shape the city yourself, rather than to be shaped by it. So, putting my money where my mouth is. Next month, Wayne Enterprises will begin investing, aggressively and immediately, in Gotham's future. Working with various domestic design firms, we've already set in motion an initiative to rebuild some of Gotham's most derelict industrial neighborhoods. From there, we plan on moving boldly to expand and modernize Gotham's public transit system. I cannot tell you how excited, how hopeful I am about these plans. Much more will be relayed in the coming days, but for now, I ask you to do this. Look past what Gotham was, what Gotham is, and imagine with me, just for a moment, Gotham as it will be. Thank you. Now what I ask of you, friends, is to invest with me. Invest in Gotham's future. Because I promise you, if we can all do that together, a better, brighter Gotham is one dream away.
Alfred Pennyworth, caretaker, Wayne Estate, access level, highest.
Well done, Master Bruce. Inspiring. Though,
thank you, Alfred.
Though you did fail to mention the myriad of new bat bunkers you'll be building throughout the city.
Huh. Must have slipped my mind. Next presentation, maybe.
Bruce, there you are.
Vicky Vale, reporter for the Gotham Gazette.
So, first you fund the digitizing of the Gazette. Now you're rebuilding half of the city. I'd say you were Gotham's own man of tomorrow. That is, if I wasn't already saying he is. Lincoln March, Bruce Wayne. Lincoln is
running for mayor. Yes, I know. And March Venture. You underwrote Leslie Tompkins' satellite clinic on the east side, didn't you?
Lincoln March, COO March Venture, mayoral candidate.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Any friend of Leslie's?
Does that mean I have your vote?
That depends. Do I have yours?
On this, I'm certainly interested. Can I ask how many investors you have lined up already?
You can ask.
That many?
Like I said, we've been aggressive in our efforts to recruit partners. Luckily, the response has been largely enthusiastic.
Well, all kidding aside, I really am interested in playing a part, Bruce. Can we set something up?
Of course. What do you have in mind?
Breakfast or lunch, we could...
Lip read. Go. I'm sorry, go on.
I really
Lip
am
reading
interested in
activating.
playing a part.
Ocular targeting 2.
How many stab wounds? God. Alright, I'll be right down. Just give me 10 minutes to escape Planet of the Crepes. Crepe, it's a pancake. Never mind.
Bruce.
I'm sorry, what?
I was saying I can do as early as tomorrow. Lunch? Talk about your plans?
Of course. Tomorrow, Alfred. Set it up, will you? Now, if you'll excuse me a moment, Lincoln. I need to get some air.
No, you rank stooges. Drop the weather top first. Raindrops, evidence, no match. Jeez, they grown stupid nowadays.
Hello, Harvey.
Back to stealth mode, I see. Come on, let's go look at some art. The landlord found him on a routine rent run. He went by the name of Sam Striggs, but when we ran it, it turned out to be a phony. Guy got no credible ID, and the apartment, nothing on his prints. He paid everything in cash, a true blue John Doe. Yep. The evidence points to a TOD 5, maybe 6 days ago, when someone decides to use him as a human dartboard. Thing is, whoever did it missed every one of John Doe's major arteries on purpose, meaning they wanted to hurt him very badly for a long, long time. The pot stickers are
antique throwing knives, professional grade. The grooves are filled with mercury for steadier flight. I'd like to take one.
Hell, it's not like we're gonna run out. Make anything of the symbol?
It's an owl.
Har har. I meant, do you think it has anything to do with the old wives' tale about the court of...
I know what you meant. Run DNA analysis. Looks like skin beneath the victim's fingernails. Possibly the killer's.
Running EMP flip now.
What? What is it?
Give me your cigar.
My cigar? Alright.
That smell is linseed oil, a common paint thinner, but the intensity is too strong.
So our guy spilled a can of paint thinner, so what?
Maybe.
Jesus.
Or maybe he was using it to leave a last message. A warning before he was murdered.
Well, our John Doe wasn't any Nostradamus, that's for sure. I'm just saying, if our time of death for him was a week ago, the tomorrow he thought would be Wayne's last day already came and went. So Wayne's in the clear.
Unless John Doe knew when he'd be found. You said the landlord was making a routine run. I assume he...
Always on the second Friday of the month. So it's possible our victim knew he was going to die. Knew he was going to be found today. And so left a warning that whoever killed him would be coming after Wayne next. Then to the killer I say good luck. Wayne's security has security. Anyone who's gonna take a crack at the guy is going to have to be someone close. Someone in Wayne's circle would be my guess. Makes you almost feel bad for the guy.
Almost?
I know you and Wayne are pals and all that, but guys like Wayne, they don't know how the city works the way we do. I mean, I listened to his speech tonight on the radio. All about what Gotham is and was and will be. When it comes to Gotham, though.
Quiet. You're sure?
Quite, sir. The skin cells beneath the victim's fingernails came back a perfect match.
Look, I didn't mean to knock your boy Wayne, I'm just saying. My view is, when it comes to Gotham, you don't know it, brother. It knows you. And the moment you think otherwise, the moment you get too comfortable, that's when it stabs you right in the back. Because above everything, Gotham is a mystery.
DNA match, Dick Grayson.
The original Wayne Tower. If you came to Gotham City today, right now, and took a tour of the building, here are some things your guide would tell you. The tower was constructed in 1888, under the watch of my great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne. He built the tower to serve as a symbol of welcome to people coming to Gotham. And, as your guide will point out, from the ground up it's designed to give visitors like you the feeling that they're cared for and protected. For example, your guide will say, the building has 12 gargoyles, or guardians, as Alan insisted they be called. One to watch over each passageway into the city. The 5 guardians at the first tier were placed there to watch over the 5 original gateways into Gotham, the 3 bridges and 2 tunnels. Higher up the tower is a ring of 7 guardians, one to protect each of the 7 train lines that converge at Union Station, below Wayne Tower's base. And at the top of the tower is his observation deck, which Alan insisted remain free and open to the public every weekend, all year round. For the windows, Alan demanded that only the best glass be used, a kind of double-bonded laminated float glass designed to be crystal quality, weatherproof, and most important, unbreakable. Unbreakable, that is, unless, like the assassin who just kicked me through them, you know how to hit the glass just right. Make impact at the edge of the plate, rather than the center, where it's designed to bend and flex. The throwing knives are perfectly placed, too, lodged tight in my brachial arteries. The pain and blood loss make it almost impossible to grab onto anything to break my fall. Impossible to do anything, except bleed and drop, and watch the city rise up to greet me.
I'm positive I hit him with 2 pounds of Semtax. 2 pounds.
Say what you want. I'll spike the ball when we're over the harbor. Our guy is supposed to be waiting just past the Strides to take the statues. Why are you going so damn slow? I thought this thing was supposed to cruise at 200 knots.
It is, but it destroyed the coxswain with that bat thing. You want faster? Dump a few of the pretty ladies.
But our guy said all 10 of these things from the Hellenistic wing. 10.
He isn't the one about to go down in the middle of the avenue. Start tossing them.
Hell, I never was much for pale girls anyway.
And at least these ones won't scream.
You got Rolf. What are you doing, man? Get the hell away from him. Turn. Shut up. The bad wants to play chicken? Let's play chicken.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, baby Jesus. No, please. What is he doing?
He wouldn't. Turn. I can't. The damn alley's too narrow.
Sir, Commissioner Gordon has arrived at the morgue.
Noted, Alfred.
Shall I assume you won't be back for the autopsy? I can power down the...
I'll be there.
But, sir, I have you all the way over on...
Relax. This'll only take a moment.
I'm afraid there's little more to rely on than the obvious. Our John Doe was stabbed multiple times, likely in an act of torture. Died from the oral wound here, which caused him to hemorrhage into his own throat.
Choked on his own blood. Ah, Gotham, pleasant as ever.
I should be going. They're waiting on me down in the burns. Hit the lights on.
Now my way out, Bill. Don't you think I know the drill by now?
Night, Commissioner.
Well? You're there?
I'm here, Jim. Step back.
Oh, that's colorful. It work?
Ready.
So, what we have here is a genuine mystery man. Paid his rent in cash, no identification in the place. We checked his DNA against state and federal. Not one ping. We know nothing about him, except he made a pretty decent dartboard for someone.
Here. There's extensive scar tissue around the ribs and abdomen. Calcification at his brow, side of his skull.
Huh. The pugilist's beauty marks. You think our John Doe was a fighter in his glory days?
Maybe. But he's got more callus material around his palms and wrists than his knuckles. Defensive scarring.
A trainer.
There are scars along his forearms. Common injuries from swordplay.
So, the guy is a high-end trainer. He's tough is the idea. But now someone even tougher, someone he knows he can't beat, is coming for him. And the message he leaves for us is, Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow.
It's curious.
I contacted Wayne, you know. Asked him if he wanted police detail for the next 24 hours, but he turned me down. I take it you're keeping an eye on him?
I have it covered. Jim, his third molar, right side. The scanner's picking up an abnormal fracture.
Right wisdom tooth, got it. Yeah. Take a look. Same emblem on the throwing knives used to kill him.
It's an Athenian owl. It appeared on coins in ancient Greece. It was a symbol of wealth and power.
Beware the court of owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shrouded perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth, they watch you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word of them, or...
They'll send the talon for your head. I know the nursery rhyme, Jim, but the Court of Owls is just a legend.
To be blunt, so were you for a while.
They don't exist.
And you know that because...
I just know.
Well, whoever the killer is, he wants us to believe the ghost story. So, what we've got is a victim who was some kind of secret, high-level bad guy trainer. A killer who's even tougher than him, apparently out to get Bruce Wayne. And all we really know about either of them is they have a thing for owls.
Cave access granted too. Nightwing.
And the tissue beneath the victim's fingernails. Forensics came back empty-handed. Anything on your end?
No.
Knock, knock.
But I'm looking into it. I'll be in touch.
Whoa. You installed a photogrammetric scanner in the city morgue?
It simplifies things.
No more sneaking in and out. Come on, though, admit it. You're gonna miss that ventilation shaft. The one with
This is the John Doe I briefed you on, Dick. The one who had your DNA under his fingernails.
Good thing we keep all of our Bat family DNA protected.
Do you recognize him?
I do. It was about a week ago, at the end of the groundbreaking for our new West Side Promenade. I was leaving. The press was taking pictures asking about your new Gotham initiative, and I was hightailing it out of there, and all of a sudden this stranger, your John Doe, came up to me and grabbed my arm. He looked haggard, really at the end of his rope. And then, before I can get away from the press and talk to him, he said something like, "They're real. They're everywhere. They're sending him for you. All of you." And then security got to him. Before I could follow up, he was gone. I noted it, but honestly, I assumed by the looks of him he was a zealot or something. All fire and brimstone. Now, though, still, I don't get why he would approach me when you were the one in danger.
And your DNA.
When security pulled me off, he still had my arm. I can take off my glove and show you. It was a week ago, but the scratch marks are still there.
There's no need for that.
Well, well, look at this.
I'll let you know if there are any more developments that pertain to you.
You already checked the surveillance footage from the groundbreaking, didn't you? That's why you don't care about checking my alibi.
Dick, you know me better than anyone, except perhaps for Alfred. Of course I checked the surveillance footage. I have to go.
Well, enjoy yourself, partner. Because according to your John Doe's flaming note, you've got less than 12 hours to live.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you meeting with me, Bruce. I can only imagine how busy you must be these days.
Not too busy to meet with Lincoln March, the next mayor of Gotham.
Is that what the gossips are saying?
Some. I don't doubt it either. I've been reading up on you. Self-made captain of finance turned philanthropist. You've got a good story. You've done good work, too. Funding the boys' home, setting up the after-school read and write. So what do you think? Does this number look satisfactory?
Bruce, I'm not here to ask for money. Don't get me wrong, every dollar is appreciated. Hell, Mayor Hattie has about 10 lines of credit running at all times from sources that are questionable at best.
If you're asking for a public endorsement, I'm afraid I don't do that.
I'm not after a public endorsement either. All I'm really after is your vote.
My vote? You've come a long way for one vote, Lincoln.
That's true, but I believe in what you're doing, Bruce. This initiative to rebuild Gotham is a good thing. And to be frank, I see a friend in you.
A cynic would say you see an opportunity.
That's true. And a cynic would say you're spearheading this new Gotham initiative for the image of your company because it's a public holding, and so on, for private purposes.
Is that what the gossips say?
Some.
Maybe they're right. I should be going. I'll leave the check on the table.
You know, Bruce, I lost my parents when I was a boy too. It's strange, isn't it? The way it's just the details. The details that stay with you. I can barely remember my mother's face anymore. But I remember this pen, clear as day. This pen she was wearing the day of the accident. I made it for her at school in ceramics. It was this little heart, but it was all lopsided with one side bigger than the other. She was wearing a pin to this fancy dress of hers. My little ugly pen. I don't remember the drunk driver hitting us. I don't remember much of the accident. I do remember seeing the pin on the ground though. As the paramedics took me away, the pen perfectly preserved, not cracked or broken, just lying in the road. All I wanted was for someone to pick it up. I lost everything I had that night. For a long time after, I lived in a state of total hopelessness. I hated the world. But then I got funded for school. I was able to go to City College. The city saved me, Bruce. Gotham saved me. It gave me a purpose when I was alone, just like I bet it did for you. When I look at you, I see an ally, a real one. As I am sure you know, this is a city where allies are few and far between, especially now.
Especially now? Why?
Something bad has come back to Gotham, Bruce. Something ancient and powerful and evil.
Lincoln, what are you talking?
What the? You. If you think you could scare...
Lincoln! Don't recognize him. Someone new. Someone fast. Just me and him, but still. Have to be careful. Restrain myself. Never know who's watching. Go for strikes that look like lucky blows. Solar plexus. Mandibular nerve. All right. Playtime's over. Doesn't make sense. It only takes 11 pounds of pressure to collapse a windpipe. I'm applying over 100, and he's not even flinching. Must be on something. Some kind of venom?
Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die.
Too far out to grab for the Ring of Seven. By the time I reach the other 5 Guardians, I'll be at terminal velocity. The Force will rip my arms off.
How I love killing Waynes.
There's something I didn't mention earlier about the design of Old Wayne Tower. Something your tour guide wouldn't mention either, because there's one Guardian people don't tell you about when you visit. They don't bother to mention it because it was added later, in 1930, then because it sits in the middle of the building and can't be seen from the elevators or the deck. The 13th Guardian, installed by Alan's son, Henry, my great-grandfather. The Guardian for visitors to Gotham, arriving by air. Whoever it was that just tried to kill me, he was good. But he made one mistake. He tried to use Gotham's legends against me. But I'm the only legend this city needs. In many ways, it's my oldest and truest friend. And it knows me better than anyone, just as I know it. Which is why I can say that there is no Court of Owls. Not in Gotham. Not in my city.
Gotham City, winter, 1922.
Help! Someone help me! They're coming for me! Help, please! Hey there, pal, you can't... Jimmy, don't you recognize him? That's Alan Wayne. I got built out this city. Jeez. Get him a blanket, will you, before he freezes? They're after me. Please. It's okay, Mr. Wayne, we're here now. Who's after you? They're everywhere. Don't you see? The 13th hour. It's upon us. They're coming. And the nests are all around. They're in my home. My home. Please. What should we do? Get the patty? The patty? What are you, crazy? The press would drag the poor guy down into... There's the manhole. Did he fall or jump? I didn't see. Mr. Wayne! Mr. Wayne, are you down there?
Gotham City, now. Okay. I'll tell you where he will be.
Talk.
You say you are looking for a man in dark costume, an enforcer with a mask to hide his face. I will tell you that tomorrow there will be one in the morgue. Разорвите его на куски.
The man making the questionable jokes is named Luka Volk. He's the Pakan of a Gotham branch of the Ukrainian mob. They call themselves Whisper Gang. And they're one of 5 gangs that control smuggling in and out of Gotham by rail. 2 days ago, an assassin dressed like an owl tried to kill me while I was meeting with a local politician. With no security footage of the assassin coming or going from Old Wayne Tower, my assumption is that he came in through the rail lines that converge beneath the building. Then found a way up through the service elevators, which means one of the rail gangs saw him and took some toll from him. The gangs have divided the lines among them. 1 line for each gang. One is Yakuza, one is La M. 5 rail lines, 5 gangs. I've already chatted with the other 4 gangs. Whisper Gang is known to be the most vicious and brutal of the five, though. The candidates, or sixths, are given extensive weapons training overseas before being allowed to travel to the States. Once here, they're fitted with an iron mask, symbolic of their loyalty to the gang. A muzzle to prove they'll never snitch. The mask is soldered together at the back of the head and can't be removed for at least a year, until the sixth has proven himself, all of which makes them pretty tough. Unless you're a magnet.
Short, please. I was
about to tell me everything you know about the assassin you led into Old Wayne Tower.
But to tell you the truth, I don't know anything about this owl man.
Lie detection assessing. Assessing. Truth.
Get out of my tunnels.
Second matrix ready for voice analysis.
Launch voice analysis. Now let's see who you are.
Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die.
Searching. Voice analysis. Search failed.
Damn. Run again.
I'll leave this in arm's reach, sir. If I may, though, the morning before last, I came across an article in the science portion of the Gazette. It appears that researchers in Germany, ornithologists, recently discovered that most bats depend on the sunset for long-distance navigation, which is to say they need to experience twilight in order to calibrate their internal compass. In other words, Master Bruce, bats need a little sunlight once in a while to fly straight, if you will.
I know plenty about bats, Alfred. Tell me what you know about owls.
Sir?
The man who tried to kill me made a comment about how much he loved killing Waynes.
No Wayne in the last 50 years has died suspiciously to my knowledge. Other than your parents, of course.
I know that. But whoever he is, this man wants me to believe that he isn't just a killer, but that he's the Talon.
The Talon? From the Court of Owls folk song?
Except he wants me to believe that the court isn't a folktale. That in reality, some secret group of men has actually been ruling Gotham from the shadows since colonial time. So I'm assuming the Wayne killing he's referring to involves some incident from the past. Something to give credibility to the bedtime story. So again, what do you know about owls?
Just common trivia. Carnivorous, masters of camouflage. Natural predators of bats. But in relation to your family, sir, the only reference I can think of is irrelevant.
I have an apparently unstoppable killer running around Gotham with my name on his list. Nothing's irrelevant at this point, Alfred.
Your great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne. Near the end of his life, he suffered from aggressive senility.
So I've heard.
Yes, but he supposedly developed a particular obsession with owls. He suffered from severe paranoia about the birds. Some obsession with the idea that they were conspiring against him. To hear my father tell it, Master Allen boarded up his windows for fear that one night the owls would come for him. But even this didn't help, as he soon became gripped by the notion that they, the owls, were roosting inside his home, in the walls. If you look at his last portrait in the gallery, at the buildings he designed featured in the background, you'll notice owls perched along the moldings.
But his death?
No, you're correct. He drowned from having fallen into an open manhole in the Gotham sewer. No foul play was suspected. I've taken the liberty of preparing you some black tea with medicinal...
No time, Alfred. I'm on my way out.
May I suggest you take the day to rest, sir? With the injuries you sustained in the fall and the stab wounds...
You said it yourself, Alfred. Even bats need sunshine.
You're making me look bad, Bruce. After all, I took one knife. You took two and got kicked out of a 30-story window. But I'm the one in bed, eating Jell-O in a butler's nightgown. Good thing you're not running against me.
Actually, Lincoln, I am. That's what I came to tell you.
Don't make me laugh.
Actually, I wanted to speak with you privately. Just before the attacker came in, you were talking about something bad having returned to Gotham.
Yes. I I've been getting warnings, Bruce. Whispers from people.
Appreciate it, Bella. Hope you're having a good day.
2 weeks ago, I woke up and found an owl in my apartment, just perched there in my closet, a little pile of bones beneath it. Still, I really didn't believe it was them behind the threats, that it could be them. But it scared me enough to ask my friends at the GCPD to keep a bid on anything related. So when the report came in about you being targeted by them too, about how that man left you a message.
Yeah, Spider-Man's story was good. This Batman one feels like you're in a video game, kinda. Just the way it's layered, it's a lot different. I'm doing pretty good, thanks for asking.
They watch you at your heart. They watch you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word of them, or they'll send the talent.
I've been hearing that old rhyme a lot lately, Lincoln. Frankly, I'm getting tired of it. Now, if there really was a court of owls, don't you think, with my roots in this city, I'd have learned they were real long ago?
Unless
what?
Unless they didn't want you to. Until now. Maybe this new Gotham initiative of yours, reshaping the city, maybe they're not just paying attention to you too. Same with me.
I'm not afraid of ghost stories, and you shouldn't be either.
Hell yes, I'm afraid. But I'm not dropping my bid for mayor if that's what you're implying. Gotham is giving me everything I have, and I'd be damned if I hand it over to a bunch of old birds.
Then you have my vote, Lincoln.
Bruce, the home for boys I lived in after my parents died, it had this old wooden floor, always creaking, drove everyone crazy. No one the nuns bought in could figure it out. Then one day, Sister Allison noticed this depression by the corner of the building. Turns out, the place was on a sinkhole within a year. The whole building would have collapsed with us inside if she hadn't realized it. My point is, sometimes we become so concerned with little dangers that we don't see the bigger one, right beneath our feet. That's all. Bruce?
I'm sorry, Lincoln, I have to go. I'm going to have my own people watch your room. They're the best. Get some sleep.
But Bruce, if they're watching me, who's watching you?
Historically, cities are places of superstition. After all, people come to them from all over the world, from small towns and villages, places they've lived for generations, to inhabit giant mazes of glass and steel, shadow and merciless light. They'd cling to beliefs from home about what keeps you safe and what to avoid. A black cat crosses your path, you'll be plagued with bad luck. A 13th guest at the dinner means someone in the party will die at midnight. My great-grandfather, Alan Wayne, understood the power of superstition. As such, he was one of the first men to eliminate a 13th floor from his buildings. Funny thing, though, to really make good on the superstition, you were supposed to leave a small space in the building between floors 12 and 14, a false floor to contain the bad luck of number 13. A space sealed off from the world, inaccessible, just a blank slot in the building, an absence like a breath held when passing a graveyard. A space just big enough, in theory, for a man to hide in. Perhaps a killer, dressed like an owl. And on the subject of owls, here's a fact about them. They're one of the rare birds that doesn't build its own nest. Instead, what they do is find nests abandoned or in use by rival birds and take them over. In essence, they invade an enemy's territory and build their nests inside his home. Bingo. Alfred.
Sir?
The fund established in Alan Wayne's name. It still exists, doesn't it?
The Alan Wayne Trust for Assisting Young Architects? It's a fund to be used for progressive additions to Gotham's skyline.
Pull up the addresses of all the buildings funded by that trust over the last century and a half.
I'm uploading the addresses now. There are nearly 20 buildings in all, roughly one every decade for the last 150 years. The most recent was built just 5 years ago.
Alfred, I want you to open Alan Wayne's crypt.
Sir?
He was right.
I don't understand.
About the owl nests.
What about them?
They're in our homes. All this time, right under our feet.
Sir?
Most people assume the danger of a tripwire lies in the blast. Not so. The real threat from the tripwire comes later, in the aftermath. The truth is, a tripwire is a greater instrument of fear than of violence. It demoralizes and terrorizes everyone in range, suggesting that the enemy knows the terrain better than you do, that this is their home, and they're everywhere at once, ready to bear down at any moment. In Gotham, there's an old legend, a nursery rhyme about the Court of Owls, a group of men who, the rhyme goes, rule the city from the shadows and enforce their will by means of an assassin named the Talon. A highly trained killer the court keeps hidden in bases around the city. Tonight, I discovered a series of such bases, seeming to date back to the 19th century. Bases hidden in the buildings constructed by my own family, the Waynes. I was inspecting this one, the most recent, when the tripwire went off. Lucky for me. I don't scare easily.
If all this is true, then the end, the real end, is near. And frankly, I just can't accept it.
To be fair, he has taken an extraordinary bit of punishment of late, Master Richard.
Huh. Bruce resting?
It's true, sir.
Yeah, and how many do you need to slip him nowadays? Alfie.
5 milligrams.
5 milligrams of ACE? That'd bring down a...
I'm aware of the effects, Master Richard. Now, I'm afraid I must return to my duties, if there's nothing else you need.
Bruce. Bruce, are you awake? And all is right in the world.
Analyze residue.
Analyzing. Metamorphic.
Metamorphic. Continue.
Analyzing further.
Well, if you're not going to introduce me to your friend, this is just going to be awkward.
He's not a friend. He's family. Alan Wayne, my great-great-grandfather.
Huh. The man responsible for the Gotham skyline. What's the occasion?
A case I'm working on.
Anything I can help with?
I'm fine. Computer, analyze.
Analyzing further.
I met with Commissioner Gordon earlier, just to touch base. He mentioned what's going on. The discovery of the Court of Owls bases. He says he thinks the dates are legitimate.
I'm still running tests, but yes, right now they appear to be authentic. Still, I'm not entirely convinced.
He mentioned that too. You know, he thinks you might be overly skeptical on this one for some reason.
There are ways of beating even the most sophisticated carbon dating programs, Dick. You know that as well as I do.
I do, but I also know that you're burning it at both ends on this one. You're working like a man obsessed, or more obsessed than usual. And as such, it's possible you're not seeing the forest for the trees.
Analysis nearly complete.
Continue.
The point is...
Hold on, I was talking to the computer. Computer.
Bruce, we're worried about you, all right? Twice this month you came close to getting killed. And some of us think it's because you're underestimating your enemy here.
Jim said that?
Yes, he did. The John Doe who came up to me, a highly ghosted ID. He's killed by an assassin calling himself the Talon. You drop the guy off a building and he gets up and kills his ride to the morgue. Now you discover that these bases, hidden in Wayne buildings, bases that seem to be from different decades dating back to the 1800s, how can you not be a little apprehensive about what might be on the other side of the equal sign here?
I'm being objective, Dick, like I taught you to be. Computer, run a secondary test for shale.
Take care, Bruce. I have a plane to catch.
Dick, there is no Court of Owls. I know because I looked into it.
When, Bruce? I never heard about it, and I was here for...
It was before that, when I was a boy.
Analysis complete.
Shut up.
Pausing.
It was after my parents were killed. In the weeks following their murder, I was lost. I couldn't accept it.
You were a kid, Bruce. I was the same. How are you supposed to accept...
No, Dick. I couldn't accept that it was random. That some plain old Joe Chill, some no-name, had killed my parents over nothing but pocket change and pearls. Deep down, I believed. I knew there had to be something bigger at work. Of course, growing up, I'd heard the old legend of the Court of Owls. I'd asked my father about them, but he always laughed off the idea. But even so, in the days before my parents' death, there'd been a sign. A nest. An owl nest in the attic. He chewed the birds away, but they'd come back. In an older version of the rhyme, there's a line about heeding the signs, the omens of the court. In the aftermath of their death, I saw the nest as a sign, a warning my parents hadn't heeded. And then and there, I vowed revenge. I was just a boy, but I'd find them, the Court of Owls, and I'd expose them. I'd crush their world as they had mine. So I began my own investigation into the court. In many ways, it was my first case as a detective, and I was determined to solve it. Immediately, clues began presenting themselves. In a matter of days, it seemed everywhere I looked there was some sign, some new piece of evidence pointing to the court's existence. So I began delving deeper. If the court was made up of powerful Gotham families, there was no better place to start looking than my parents' friends and business partners. Despite his work as a doctor, my father had been deeply involved in the civic mechanics of Gotham. Not just charities, but everything from museums to the Gotham shipyard. Anyone could be one of the court. No one could be ruled out. In the course of just a few weeks, I'd compiled notes on some of Gotham's most prominent families. To my mind, the mind of a boy detective, all of it was evidence. Evidence of a far-reaching conspiracy against my family. I'd even located a building, an old abandoned social club with a double owl on the crest. A place called Harbor House. It was...
I know it.
All of the families I suspected had belonged to the club at one time or another. And looking at the schematics of the building, I discovered a room in the upper tower. What looked like a windowless meeting place right above the crest outside. I was sure this was it. I had found the Court of Owls, the men behind my parents' death. But what I actually found that night, up there in that secret room, was something much more frightening. Dust. Nothing. No answers. No villains. Just an old, empty room that hadn't been used in years. I was so shocked I didn't see the door close by my foot. I was locked up there for over a week. When Alfred finally found me, I was already comatose. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital recovering. When I woke up, though, I'd learned a valuable lesson. A lesson I built my skills as a detective on. Never let your emotions guide you on a case. I needed there to be a Court of Owls. Some great evil behind my parents' murder. I let that need guide my investigation, and it almost killed me.
You were just a kid, Bruce.
I've looked into the court since then, and always come up empty.
How hard have you looked, though?
Deeper than the evidence warranted. Because there's never been any.
Look, Bruce, no one knows Gotham better than you. It's your city. It's Batman's city. But it's also nearly 400 years old, which means over the years, maybe it belonged to something else, too. Something big. Something dark.
I have to go. I have a lead to follow up on. My great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne, was behind the construction of some of Gotham's tallest towers. His naked body was discovered here, beneath the city, in the sewers. The corpse had been down here so long that Alan had to be identified by the fillings in his teeth. A nightmarish end for a man who spent so much time building Gotham up, to drown in its sewage. The dirty blood of the city he helped build. There are worse ways to go, though. Like the way he actually went. Because examining his body myself, I discovered tiny punctures, not unlike stab wounds, in his bones. A lot of his bones, too. Which is to say, he was stabbed to death, most likely by throwing knives. Almost 50 of them. But I found something else on his bones. A residue. Dust from a metamorphic rock, not unlike marble. Strange, given that the sewer system is constructed almost entirely out of granite. But that's Gotham. Never ceases to...
The Court of Owls watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadowed perch, behind granite and lime. They see you at your hearth. They see you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word about them, or they'll send the Talon for your head. Welcome, Batman, to the labyrinth.
You'll be dead soon, you know.
Huh?
Siggy, the bat signal. You've been running him hot all week. You gotta blow his bulb.
Yeah. Leave it on, Harvey.
I hate to say it, Commissioner, but it's been 8 days. The bat isn't coming. Leaving the light on for him just...
It's not just for him, Lieutenant Bullock. It's for the scum who think Gotham's a damn playground now. It's for the other guys, too. The ones on our side. The ones who are hurting. Because they know him. The man underneath that mask. The man that's missing right now. Hell. It's for the whole damn city, Lieutenant. So like I said, the light stays on.
They want me to come out of the dark, but I won't. I won't. I'll stay here, where it's safe. Safe from them, from the owls. Here, again, always here, at the source. Shouldn't drink. Probably drugged, but I have to. So thirsty. Like every part of me is crying out, screaming. Just a little. A sip. No, not too much. Drink too much and... Shh. Stay still, Bruce. They hear everything. They have special ears, asymmetrical, with one ear opening higher than the other to locate prey. And the way they watch. The eyes. Hurry. No rope to climb. No belt. You have to go. Get out of here. Away from the light. Back to the dark. Have to find the dark. How can I be here again? Because it's a story, Bruce. They're telling you a story, room by room, over and over. Every part. And this part of the story is all about the people they've killed. Here in this very maze. Hundreds of people, over hundreds of years. Hunted down. Something chasing them. A minotaur. Watching. Once upon a time in Gotham. And you're the star now. Smile.
No! I won't listen to you! I'm not listening!
Keep your head straight, Bruce. Focus. Get back in the dark. The dark. Where it's safe.
I found you. I've got you. I'll tear you limb from limb.
You think you can fool me? You think so? You can't. Because I know all the tricks. Hell, I invented them. And sooner or later, I will find you. Wherever you are. You can't hide from me. Hide in the dark. Because I live here. In the dark. In Gotham. It's my city. I know every alley. Every rooftop. So tell your story. With your pictures and your models and maps of Gotham through the years. Try to tell me you've been here longer. That's what you're saying, right? That I don't matter. That's why you didn't even bother to take off my mask. And all these names, the names on the wall, they're people you used, or members of your little flock, or enemies you killed. It's all the same to me. All the same story. I've heard it all before. Heard it all. Well, well. Look at this. A new chapter. So what are you trying to tell me now? With the talon on the wall and these coffins. These faces. Children. Generations of children you turned into monsters. Is that it? Young men and women you trained for years so they could kill for you? And one open. One missing. What does it mean? That... No. Stop it, Bruce. I'm not listening. Not listening. Not listening. Not listening. Not listening. Not listening. Not! Stop. Stop. It's just a story, Bruce. Just an old bedtime story. And you're the star. It's your story, not theirs. Your city. Your story. Yours, Bruce. Tell it. You were born to. Thomas and Martha. It can't be. It can't. Mother. Father.
Bruce, my God.
Is it really him, Thomas? Is it?
It's me. Yes. But how? How?
We've been down here so long, Bruce. Waiting. It is you, isn't it, Bruce?
Of course. Don't you recognize me?
We can't see anymore, Bruce. We haven't been able to for years. But it is you, isn't it?
It's me. I found you. I found you.
Oh, if only I could see you, Bruce. What I wouldn't give to see.
Not real. Not real. Trying to steal my story. Steal my... No. You can't change it. Can't change my story. You can't trick me. I invented all the tricks. Ah. See? I beat you. You hear me? I beat you. No. It can't be. No. 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 No, I'm not. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to you.
Son of a bitch. God damn it. What should we do with it?
Get a new one. Now. I said now. Now. Please.
Batman, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die. But you should die knowing that your body will never be returned to the surface. Because the court has decided to keep your bones down here to be displayed in the labyrinth forever. A monument to a valiant enemy. Only 3 times throughout history has the court honored someone in this way. Do you wish to speak to this honor before your death?
You moved the camera.
Yes. No final address then. So all that's left to do is decide the manner of your death. My court. He is prepared. I present to you the Batman. How do you wish him to die?
Break his neck. No, bleed here. Take his feet. His spine. Pull his spine. Let the littlest decide.
Yes, yes. Let her choose. What do you want to see, dear?
Hurt him more.
My pleasure, my lady. Hurt him like this. Like this. As you wish, my court. It is done, my court. The Batman is finished. Come, take his bones as yours.
No strength left. Blood filling all the wrong places. Whole body, every bone saying let go. Let go, and let them take you. Let it end. The pain, the fight. Become a ghost. A face behind the glass. A face. His face. Alan Wayne. His face. So scared. Begging. Calling out for someone. Someone to help him. To help him stop them. Enough.
Enough! He's still alive! He's still alive!
Well. Still some fighting you. And look at you. Beating your wings. Gnashing your little fangs. Do you know what owls do
things down here. What you wanted me to see. Now it's my turn. So take a look. You see this? The city at your feet. It's not the real Gotham. It's an arts and crafts project. But wait.
Quiet.
But there's more. Because you, Talon.
I said quiet.
I see what you are, too. You're nothing.
Shut up.
But a hired thug. You're a pawn. You're not special. No matter what they've told you. And now, what you really are is finished. That goes for all of you. You hear me? Do you? Do you hear me? Court of Owls? Whoever you are. You can't hide from me. I know this city down to its foundation. For example, I know that this place, the taste of the water in the fountain, the minerals, were near the river. And I know the base of your big ugly fountain, it's white marble, not construction marble like the rest of this place, which makes it softer, more vulnerable to, say, explosions. And you know what explodes? Potassium chlorate, when it ignites. Which is why I slipped out the supply of filament plates from your camera before. I'll be back for you. All of you. Out. Must get out now. Get out and go home. Home to the cave and never come back here. No. Can't get away. Can't break through the glass. They won't ever let me go. The court. I'm already dead, aren't I? Bones in the dark. Nothing but a dead face. A face.
Well, that was thrilling. What a wonderful gladiator, the Batman.
Yes, yes he is.
What should we do with this one? Yes, what? We should dispose of him. Here. Wait, but the investment in him, and he'll heal if he...
Appreciate it, man. Glad you're enjoying it.
Not in the important way. Not from that beating. Oh, don't worry, my dear. We have so many more of them. Now, all we have to do is wake them up. All of them.
Some ancients believed that the moment of death brought with it visions. Not just visions of one's past or of the things known to the dying, but visions of oneself as one truly existed in life.
Yes. Yes, Father. I shall become a bat.
They believed, the ancients, that these final visions often went beyond what was known to the dying man in life. That they constituted secret truths about his life revealed. Some truths were comforting. Some were heart-shattering. Either way, these visions were meant to Offer some closure, so that he may leave the world
Glad to hear it, Nano.
knowing all there was to know about himself. A vision of himself as he truly was, reflected in the burning eyes of his god.
Come back. Come back. Come back. I know you can hear me. Come on. That's it. Damn it. Come on. Work. Wait.
Who are you?
It's just me.
You.
I'm sorry. The jumpers were all I had, and you flatlined, and this is my boss's van, and...
I told you once already. Leave me alone. I meant it.
Nice one, Harper. Epic bat fail.
But legend has it, if a dying man resists the visions, resists the pull toward truth, and journeys back to the land of the living, he may find himself greatly changed upon return. And you who stand before us now, will surely find yourself changed when you open your eyes. Which you will do now. Yes, open those eyes for us. Open your eyes for your court. You have traveled so far from the banks of the river Lethe, the river of mindlessness, where the shades walk back to this world, to your city.
Gotham!
Yes, look. Look at your body. It has been restored and made stronger than before. Much stronger. You drank from the cup of immortality, and you cannot be killed. Your wounds in battle will heal. You are faster, stronger than ever. And we are stronger, too. Your court. We have been gathering our resources, our power, and waiting as the great owl waits, in plain sight. Until now. But now it is time for us to strike. To reclaim this city and rip out the heart of our enemy.
Halt! Identify yourself.
It's... me.
Master Bruce! My God. When I saw the hole in the ice, I concluded that you'd climbed out of the harbor yourself. But when you never appeared, I feared one of your enemies had removed you and...
It was... someone else.
Password Fairbanks.
No! No!
He's dead, sir.
No!
We discovered his body in the frozen water. Near the spot we detected the short beacon from your suit. I moved his body here to the Batcave for examination. Let's get you to the medical station.
No.
But sir, we really...
Get him on the table.
Look upon our enemy, the Bat. Look upon his image. Like you, he has just now journeyed up from the underworld. But while you have returned stronger, more powerful, he has returned broken and weak.
We have moved your armor here, your arms. We ask you now to let us arm you. Arm you for battle.
For tonight we will strike down our enemy. Not just strike him down, but tear him apart. Limb from limb, and eat his bones.
Bruce?
I asked Alfred.
Yeah, to tell me you needed privacy, I know. But I wanted to come down and see you. Jeez, Bruce. What did they do to you?
The man on the table is the Talon. An assassin for the Court of Owls.
Is he... dead?
Yes. And no. There's a compound I've isolated in his cells. Something the court must have managed to synthesize. It's capable of reanimating dead tissue.
Bringing bodies back from the dead?
Only bodies specially prepared.
Prepared? How?
The court has an affinity for classical antiquity. In ancient Greece, there was a tradition of placing coins beneath the corpse's tongue before burial, supposedly to pay for passage into Hades. The rich sometimes had their coins made from a metal called electrum, a highly conductive alloy of silver and copper. In this man's body, I found a significant amount of electrum, not just in his blood, but in his cells. The alloy seeped down over years and years, from a deposit embedded in his tooth, in the shape of a tiny owl. Like the John Doe he killed, he carried his ferryman's coin with him all the time, for years. By the time he was retired, he was a walking conductor, waiting for a spark. And from a chemist's standpoint, that's all this compound is. A spark to light up the wire.
So they used the compound to bring him back from the dead to kill for them. And his first target was his old trainer, the John Doe. After all, who needs a coach anymore when you can reanimate your star athlete? And his healing factor?
Once the compound is bonded with the cells, they're capable of reactivating and healing over and over. Which is why he was able to walk away from the fall-off Wayne Tower.
And why he's technically still alive right now. So how do you take him down?
The cold. The compound turns the body into a kind of heat-powered factory for cell regrowth. The way to shut it down is to lower the host's core body temperature. Put him back on ice. I'm running freezing solution into him now.
Do you have a name for him yet?
Yes. His name is Cobb. William Cobb. And he's your great-grandfather.
My what?
I took a tissue sample, Dick.
And what, you weren't going to tell me? That's why you wanted privacy?
That's one part of it, yes.
And you're not going to tell me the other part? Huh. Of course you're not. You know, Bruce, I get that you think that you're protecting me by keeping your secrets. Or rather, I get that you want to think that's why you keep secrets like this. But since we're both being so honest and upfront, right? Let's just admit that both of us know the person you're really protecting is yourself. From needing to have a damn human emotion. But you have no idea what I've been through these last few weeks. No idea. The things I've had to deal with. And I'll tell you what, Bruce, if you think learning my ancestor, some guy I never knew was a criminal, if you think that's gonna faze me, then frankly, you don't know me at all!
You were supposed to be the one too, Dick.
I was supposed to be a Talon?
In pre-modern times, potential gladiators were sometimes escorted to the Colosseums by parades of performers, jesters, and acrobats. An ancient version of the
circus. Of course. But how did you know?
He came to see you first. The trainer of the court's last Talons, our John Doe. The identity of this Talon here simply confirmed it. Every decade, Haley's circus presented a crop of child athletes to the court, and the members chose one in secret to be trained as that era's Talon. You were meant to be the most recent one, but when your parents died...
And you took me in.
You know, some nights, Dick, on patrol, I felt the city looking at me. I always thought it was watching over me, though, like a partner, or even family. You asked me before what the court did to me. What they did was show me the truth. That the Gotham City I thought I knew, my city, doesn't exist. They showed me that the real Gotham, the Gotham out there, is a city of birds, a city of owls. It's a stranger and an enemy. It always has been. And I'll tell you, Dick, if someone could have protected me from that truth, I'd have been grateful.
Well, here's some truth for you. You might be seeing sides already. All of us birds on one and you, the bat, on the other. Hell, you're probably throwing up walls right and left. But the fact is, I don't care who my ancestor was. Or what the Court of Owls wanted me to be. I don't. We are who we choose to be, Bruce, not the role the past says we should play. The Court of Owls is just another bad guy, Bruce. They're just a little grayer around the temples is all. Yes, you made a mistake and underestimated them. But they are not Gotham City, Bruce. And neither are you.
Yes, this way. Come see. For tonight we will not only kill our enemy, but we will take back city. We will take back our kingdom. Now go! Go and take Gotham City!
I've always believed the best way to know the city is to stay close to the ground, to feel the cracks in the sidewalk under your shoes, the strange, bright silence of the park under snow, the hissing rain of sparks that comes down when the elevated train passes overhead on 3rd Avenue, the late-night ticking of traffic lights. It's only been in the last few weeks that I've come to understand how wrong I've been. Because I know now that you can spend your whole life learning Gotham from deep inside and still know nothing about it at all. Shut it off, Alfred. It's hurting my eyes.
If you wish, sir. But they say low-level laser illumination can be therapeutic for eye injuries.
You want a metaphor, old friend? Here's one. I'm a man standing over a toy city he made himself, while the real one, the one that matters, operates behind his back.
I wasn't trading in wordplay, sir. You've been sitting in the dark for hours. And you have inflammation in most of the tissue around your eyes, and a conjunctival hemorrhage in...
I've been a fool, Alfred. An arrogant fool.
Perhaps. But then you come from a long line of such men, sir. And that city across the bay is a better place for all of their arrogant foolishness. And if you... Sir.
I heard it. Someone's trying to get in. Get to the cave. I'll take care of the intruder.
But sir, I can...
I have the earpiece and lens. Help me from down there. Go.
Sir, I'm in position. I'm picking up intruder signals all around the manor, but they're not making sense. The pulses are... Oh no. Master Bruce, you must get down here. Master Bruce!
Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you.
Yeah, I got it the first time.
Ha-ha! Seems you have some moves, Mr. Wayne. Well, so do I.
Maybe so. But yours went out of style 200 years ago. Alfred. Alfred, I need positions. Alfred.
I'm trying, sir. But they're all around you.
Yes, I can see that. But others...
That's what I mean, sir. There are so many others. And they're getting into the house from all sides. Sir, you need help. I can...
Alfred? Alfred, are you there? Alfred. Damn.
Mr. Wayne. Damn, Mr. Wayne.
Go ahead, Bruce. Try to run away. We'll follow you wherever you go. You won't. Brothers, I am pinned.
Nowhere left to go, Bruce. Nowhere to run. You're going down now.
Good choice of words.
What?
Get him! He's escaping!
It's locked.
We'll get you, Bruce Wayne. We're coming for you.
Stupid, Bruce. Stupid. You should have seen this coming. You should have been watching for it, not lost in your own head. Alfred! Alfred, are you all right?
Well, well. Seems you have a secret, Bruce. Don't you? Huh? No!
Your lucky penny, sir.
Are you all right?
Quite, sir.
Good. Now let's get some answers. How many? I said how many are coming for us?
Enough. And not just for you. But don't worry. You'll find out soon.
Or sooner.
Ah! You're breaking... Ah! My arm!
Correct.
Now look what we have here. Oh, Bruce. We're coming for you. It's time can't stop the court.
There are ways to butcher.
You can't hold us back. There's nowhere to run anymore. We're in the heart of your house, Bruce. The House of Wayne and of Batman.
The armory. Alfred, get inside.
Sir?
Quickly.
That's okay, Bruce. We'll find a way in. We always do.
I'm afraid he's right, sir. The doors won't hold them forever.
Take this. It's some kind of microdrive. It was in the Talon's gauntlet. See if you can pull up anything. Figure out what they're planning. And Alfred, drop the temperature in the cave to sub-zero, fast as you can. The regenerative compound in the Talon's blood is heat sensitive. Bring their core body temperatures down low enough and...
You'll freeze the whole lot of them. Or at least slow them down. But sir, that will take minutes, and in the meantime they'll tear you apart. Besides, the temperature in the cave will become inhospitable to you yourself in a matter of...
Don't worry about me, Alfred. I'm sure I've got something warm in here.
You can't hide forever, Bruce. That's what Wayne's always tried to do, but it's no use. So go on, little Bruce, and open up. Get the hell out of my house. Look at this, friends. Bruce came out to play. You know what we do to bats, Bruce. We eat them whole, bones and all. Not in this cave, you don't.
Master Bruce, I've uploaded the material, but the firewall... Wait. This can't be right.
What is it, Alfred?
God help us all.
Alfred.
It's a list, sir.
A list of what?
A list of targets. And nearly every public figure in Gotham City is on it. Everyone who shapes the city. The city comptroller.
Betty Porv.
Gotham City Deputy Sheriff.
Michael D. Davis.
Oh, God, please don't.
Kane County Supreme Court Justice.
Jan Spitz.
Gotham Public Advocate.
Bloody traffic.
John Lee.
What?
Speaker of the City Council.
El Madre Puta. Miguel Guadalupe.
The head of the City Planning Commission.
Bill Keep.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Gotham's Commissioner of Cultural Affairs.
Valerie Vanderman. The Court of Owls has sentenced you to die.
Commissioner Gordon. Mayor Haydey. They're going to kill them all.
Put out the call, Alfred. Alfred.
I'm here, sir.
Put the call out to the family. Now.
Yes. Yes, of course, sir. Putting it out now. To all the allies of the Bat presently in Gotham, I send this with the greatest urgency. Tonight, the Court of Owls has sent their assassins to kill nearly 40 people across the city. The court's targets are all Gotham leaders, people who shape this city. I have uploaded a list of the targets' names here. The court's assassins, the Talons, are already en route to their targets. They are highly trained killers with extraordinary regenerative abilities. For many of their targets, I fear it may be too late to... I will keep the line to the cave open as long as I can manage.
Come on. I'm right here. We will grind your bones into dust. We're coming for you too, old man. Going to tear the skin off your back.
Good luck to you.
Now, take him.
God help us all.
The first members of my family to live in the manor were Solomon and Joshua Wayne, brothers. They bought the house in 1855, but they didn't move in until 2 years later. The reason was bats. A massive infestation of bats in the cave system beneath the land. They brought in a chiroptologist from Gotham University, and according to him, to get rid of the bats, they'd have to introduce a predator into the cave. So the Wayne brothers did. They carted in all sorts of birds, from peregrine falcons to kestrels, and unleash them in different sections of the cave. The most effective killers of bats, though, were the tiger owls. My ancestors let owls loose in the cave. And within a year, all the bats were gone.
Alfred, how are we doing on temperature?
I'm dropping it as fast as possible, sir.
It needs to be faster.
It should dip below zero in no more than a minute. Drop to -20, maybe even 30 in under 5 minutes. By then, the restorative compound of the talent cells should begin to freeze. But, sir, I implore you, come back inside the armory.
They're strong, Alfred. The doors won't keep them out long enough.
The doors may.
No.
Master Bruce, the talent strength, the healing capabilities, please. For you, it means certain...
What it means, Alfred, is that I can play rough for once.
My suit is built for war. It's made of meta-aramid fibers of my own design, tougher than Kevlar. Made to withstand burning heat and freezing cold. Temperatures as low as the Arctic winter. It uses a semi-solid flow microbattery. It has enough oxygen for weeks, meaning it's built for battle in the most alien territories on Earth. And I'm wearing it here, in my own home.
Come on. I said come on, you undead sons of...
Alfred is right. They'll get through the suit, the Talons. Because in a way, they already have.
Master Bruce!
He's down, brothers. Get him.
This is it, Bruce Wayne. Nothing left to keep us out. No more barriers. The court always finds a way into your home. You Waynes always try though, don't you? Well, go ahead. Try whatever you like. More gates, more alarms.
Maybe try a guard dog.
Actually, I already have one.
Activate Fido.
Activating Fido.
Good boy.
You think that will stop us? Your little parlor trick.
Master Bruce, your vital signs. You're going to black out.
I've got him. Say goodbye, Wayne. Nowhere to run.
Master Bruce! I'm coming out to help you. Armory doors open.
No, override armory doors. Locked down.
No! Master Bruce! Master Bruce, you're crashing!
We'll get you, Bruce Wayne.
My ancestors, they used owls to kill the bats. Owls everywhere. But I forgot. The thing I forgot is, as soon as the owls left, the bats came back. Yes, I remember now. The bats had simply hidden deeper in the caves, in the darkest parts, the parts the owls couldn't tolerate. And when the bats came back, it was with a vengeance.
Sir, it's -20 and dropping. The Talons should be feeling the effects of the cold by now, but please, sir, exposed to such cold, your vital signs...
The cold brought the bats out of the dark, Alfred. I feel fine.
Sir, one of them is headed for the bridge, trying to make an escape.
Oh, I see him.
Sir!
He's got a healing factor. Let him heal. Use the coolant I prepared for Cobb to freeze the Talons.
Yes, sir, but you must stay here and...
There's an owl symbol in the sky over Gotham, Alfred. I'm going out. The list of people the Court of Owls is targeting.
I'm sending it to the main console. The names in blue, they're the ones the Allies have already gone to protect.
And the ones in red?
I'm afraid for them it's already too late. The green names, they're the only targets still unaccounted for.
There are barely any green, Alfred. Just Jeremiah Arkham and Lincoln March.
I'm afraid this night largely belongs to the Owls, sir.
The night's not over yet. I'm going to Arkham Asylum first. And then I'll go after March. Lincoln March, I'm here to help. March? Mr. March,
You, Bruce Wayne.
Huh?
For Bruce Wayne. I have a message for Bruce Wayne.
Don't talk, Mr. March. An ambulance will be here any moment.
No, please. Here. Here. Take this. There are 3 names. I tried to follow the donations to figure it out. It's as close as I got. Could be all 3 of them are in the court. Could be none.
Mr. March, the more you talk.
I'm dead. He killed me. I got him back though. Armor piercing. Friend of the force. But Bruce, you know him. Please tell him to fight them. This city's worth it. It can be a good place. Remind him that a better Gotham is just his one dream.
Master Bruce, the Talons have been contained. I have news on the other assassination attempts as well.
I know where they live, Alfred.
But, sir...
They came to my house. Now I'm gonna burn theirs to the ground. What you're looking at is the most expensive private residence in Gotham City. Valued at $58 million, the complex takes up the top 3 floors of the famous Powers Hotel and is occupied by the Powers family patriarch, Joseph, and his wife, Maria. The place was built during the Depression as a fortress against the masses. It has its own wooden gymnasium, pool, bowling alley. It even has a Zeppelin moor on the balcony. Protected by both hotel and private guards, armed with encrypted wireless security, it has never seen a visitor not employed or invited by the Powers family. Until tonight.
Dear God! Security? I said security! Help me! I'm...
Going down.
You can't be in here! I'm calling... That's not Joseph's.
I know, Mrs. Powers. It's yours. I found the case for your husband's mask, but it's empty. Where is he?
Gone, out of the country. And you and your friends, you might think you have the upper hand right now, but you don't, and never will. In fact, if I were you, I'd leave the city and never come back.
And if I were you, I'd get used to that view.
Your scare tactics worked, sir. She's dialing her husband now.
Tell me you can track the call, Alfred.
It looks as though we can. Though his line is basically impenetrably coded, we're now able to piggyback on hers to locate his phone.
And the Talons?
I moved them into the cold storage laboratory, sir. They seem to have retreated into some kind of preservatory stasis.
Good. Tell me when you have a lock on Mr. Powers.
It's strange, sir. The phone appears to be located in some kind of blackout zone.
A blackout zone?
Yes. Something has created a dead area about a quarter mile in radius. I can place the phone within the zone itself, but beyond that...
And the location?
The blackout zone is located on Gotham's south side, sir.
Along the row?
Yes. And judging by the emission field, I calculate the epicenter to be somewhere around...
Irvington.
I'm sorry, sir?
77 Irvington. Right where it always was.
Yes. But how did you know, sir? Master Bruce?
Henri Ducard, the great detective. once told me that there's a feeling you get on a case sometimes. The feeling that comes when the pieces suddenly fit into place, and the answer you've been looking for all that time begins to appear. The feeling, Dakar said, is like a remembering. Not so much a discovery or something new, as a remembering of what you knew all along. Something right in front of you. The feeling is the best indicator you have your answer, said Dakar. Earlier tonight, when Lincoln March gave me his short list of names, I felt it. I saw Joseph Power's name on the list, and I knew. Not just because he was responsible for the founding of the Gotham Aviary, for its exceptional collection of rare owls. Not because his finances seemed skewed, but because I felt it in my gut. That remembering. And now, here, I feel it again. Outside this building. I came to Harbor House when I was a boy. I was looking for the Court of Owls. That time, I found nothing. Not tonight. Tonight, the court goes down, once and for all. No more hiding. No more plotting from the shadows. Tonight, their story ends. Their little song will be forgotten. Their name vanishes from Gotham's history. They know it, too. Rushing to meet here in the middle of the night. The report from Alfred is that many of the assassination attempts tonight were stopped. Most of the court's talons are down. And now I have them cornered. No security, no traps. Nothing can keep me from them. Not tonight. Not.
Scanning for vital signs. Scanning. Scanning.
Not again.
Scanning. No vital signs detected. 22 confirmed dead.
Damn you. Damn you all.
Master Bruce, you're not dressed. Don't forget you're meeting with the firms bidding on the elevated park in less than an hour.
I told you, I'm waiting on the gray, Alfred.
Well, it seems to have snuck up on you, sir. So why don't you give me those morbid things so I may return them to their case? And you can start thinking about trees and ponds and a greener city.
It doesn't make sense, Alfred. Members of the court taking their own lives, just like that.
I rather think it does, sir. You've taken the city back from them.
Then there's the money. Money siphoned from the dead members' accounts in just the last few weeks. It feels more like a setup. Like subterfuge.
You saw the autopsies, Master Bruce. The court members are quite dead.
Something doesn't fit about it, Alfred. There's something behind it. I can feel it. Someone close. Close all along.
That may be, sir, but the answers will come. You now know the identities of at least several of the Court of Owl's major figureheads. And while their organization, as you've discovered, is clearly much larger than this one grouping, I'm certain you'll eventually bring them all to justice. If I may speak freely, sir, perhaps the thing that doesn't fit about this ending is that it is an ending. I know when you were a boy, you thought you might find answers to your parents' murder in the Court of Owls. And my suspicion is that perhaps you were hoping you might find more answers now.
What gave you that idea?
When it comes to them, to their murder, you are the answer to that mystery, Bruce Wayne. And that answer is enough. Now, put on that bloody suit and get out of here.
All right. I'm going. Just call Roberts and tell him...
Tell him what, sir?
Tell him I won't be able to make it.
But, sir, where are you going?
I'm going after him, Alfred.
After who, Master Bruce? Sir, who?
Him. The answer to all this. The one behind it. The one I forgot.
Follow me down the rabbit hole. Analyzing handwriting through script file database.
Right behind you, old friend. Sinkholes are tricky things. They can form in more places than most people think. In cities, they form particularly quickly, often exacerbated by leaky pipes and overly heavy structures. Gotham has a sinkhole. Just one. It's the only one in Kane County, in fact. And it sits beneath this place. The Willowwood Home for Children. Years ago, it was Gotham's satellite hospital for children suffering from mental illness and neurological disorders. It operated until 18 years ago, when a sinkhole swallowed the orderlies' quarters. In the days that followed the catastrophe, the truth about Willowwood became clear. The abuses the children had been subjected to, the neglect, children, alone, naked, rotting in their filth, left to starve. Now it sits abandoned, and children dare each other to spend the night inside. They say the sadness of the lost children caused the sinkhole. They say the place is haunted by their spirits. Tonight, I almost believe it. After all, I'm here to catch a dead man. I'm here.
So tell me, Batman, who am I?
I don't know, but you're not Lincoln March, because Lincoln March doesn't exist. He's a paper man set up by the Court of Owls.
Good. So if I'm not Lincoln March, then who am I?
You're a traitor and a thief. You're a member of the Court of Owls, but you betrayed them, just as everything was crumbling on them. You took money from the top members. You invited them to an emergency council, and you poisoned them. You made it look like they killed themselves. Meanwhile, you included your name on the list of targets. You had one of the Talons come after you, and you faked your own death.
Not faked?
No, not faked. You took the serum before the attack, the compound that brought the Talons back to life. The court will come after you, Lincoln. The members you killed were only a small handful of...
Oh, they'll come after me, all right. But I'm pretty damn hard to kill now. You know, Bruce, for a while, there was talk of training a new talent before the serum was developed to allow for the awakening of the talent's past. There was even a suit developed. Something tough and modern, something to rival the Batman. But all this gets away from the question. Because you're telling me what I did, not who I am. So who, Bruce? Who? I know you have a theory.
My theory? You were an inmate here at one time.
Good. So tell me how you deduce that.
Men like you, criminals, always leave clues behind. Not because you're sloppy, but because you're egotistical. You like to taunt your pursuers. So the sinkhole, the story you told me when I visited you in the hospital after we were attacked at Old Wayne Tower, you were daring me to look deeper into you. You knew the records the Court of Owls created were too good to penetrate, but even so you left a clue. A truth inside the lie.
A truth inside the lie, exactly. Just like with you. Like when I saw you fight that Talon during our first meeting, you were supposed to be an easy target. The court said that I could be there to watch, and when I saw what you were, the Batman, that's when I knew what I had to do, what I had to become. But I saw who they were too, the court. They said the Talon attacked me by accident, that he made a mistake. But I saw the truth in that lie too. So who am I, Bruce? Go on. I was an inmate here as a child. The court took me in. Why?
Because you were someone with nothing. Someone they could prop up and control. Someone they could create from scratch. Their own candidate, Lincoln March.
No, because I already know who I am. You're making me angry avoiding the question, Bruce. If you don't want to answer it, answer this. How? What tipped you off? What sent you to the morgue? Say it.
The pin.
The pin? What pin?
In the story you told me in Old Wayne Tower about your mother's death, the car accident that killed her.
There's the lie, but where's the truth?
You mentioned a pin she wore, a misshapen heart pin made of clay.
And?
You saw the picture of my mother wearing that pin, and you used it in your...
No, the truth in the lie, Bruce. That pin, It was only given to the mothers of children who lived here at Willowwood. So who am I, Bruce? Who? I asked like the great owl. Who?
You're sick. You're nothing. You're
your brother, Bruce. I'm Thomas Wayne Jr., your brother that never was from the other side of the mirror.
I don't have a brother.
Oh, but you were supposed to, though, remember? I know you do. Think back to before I was there in Mother's stomach. There was an accident, Bruce. Remember? You were there. I was born early, born hurt. And our parents hid me here at Willowwood to heal away from the world.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Lincoln. What story the court concocted for you, but that's their mistake. My parents wouldn't do that. They wouldn't put a son of theirs, sick or not, in a place like this.
See, but it wasn't like that back then at the time of the accident. It was a premier children's hospital. That is until the funding dried up, when the hospital's biggest donors died. Thomas and Martha Wayne, tragically shot in an alley.
You wanted to know if the Corps had anything to do with our parents' death, Bruce. The answer is no. They didn't. That was all your...
Alright, everybody. Pretty good stream today. We'll finish this story tomorrow. We'll level up. And we'll also do something a little bit different. Instead of the wood cutting. Probably some bossing. So I hope everyone has a good rest of the day. Enjoy all day. Hope to see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.